and a very warm welcome to Panama City, Panama, and game number 7 of the 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier. As for the first time, we have arrived at a day here in Panama in which one team will be punching a ticket to the 2023 Classic. That will not happen until the night game tonight between Brazil and Panama, but in the morning game, we are set to go for a good one with the WBC futures on the line for 2 squads today as Argentina squares off with Nicaragua. Hi everybody, a very warm welcome to our morning contest here at Estadio Rod Carew. Tyler Mott alongside the former Major Leaguer and Team Australia pitcher Ryan Rowland-Smith. Ryan trying to beat the rain a little bit. 1 o'clock start time pushed up today to 10 a.m. That's a bit of a change in the routine for these teams, but we got a good one on tap.
Yeah, you mentioned the fact these guys are rolling out at 10 a.m., but I will say the adrenaline would be through the roof. Nicaragua, who had a rough one against Brazil, they were kind of rattled a little bit. Then they got Pakistan, they got those bats warmed up, and Argentina scratching and clawing in that 7th inning last night against, 2 nights ago against Team New Zealand.
These two teams have taken kind of divergent roads to get here, but we'll take a look at the bracket for this 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier. As in the night game today, we have a couple of teams that are set to square off with a trip to the WBC on the line. The loser of that game will play the winner of this one tomorrow. So one of these teams is going home today. The 2 teams in the night game at least are assured of another contest, but this is a huge one today for Argentina, first-time WBC qualifier participant. And Nicaragua, which started slow, they're trying to pull the Czech Republic move and make it through the losers bracket to win one of those tickets to the WBC.
Yeah, and when you look at Argentina and Nicaragua today, you've got to be really smart with your pitching. You can't, wear it all down that bullpen, because all of a sudden, you go into tomorrow and you will be flat in the bullpen. Nicaragua looks good in that regard. Argentina's had to work a little bit harder. But I do love this format, the fact that if you get into that losers bracket, you have to earn a little bit more. You have to play extra innings. But again, it comes down to that double elimination. And both these teams, you know what, it's do or die. They go home tomorrow if they don't get through this. So all hands on deck.
Let's take a look at what we will see on the field today. The managers from these squads, the starting lineups from these squads. And first, there is the head man for this Nicaragua team. Sandor Guido stepped into the role after Marvin Bernard had to attend to a family matter. So Sandor, a guy who's won at every level back home in Nicaragua, now trying to take his team through the losers bracket to the Classic. And on the other side, Rolando Arnedo, a guy who manages in professional ball in the United States. He's kind of taken one of the unknown teams, and they are within a step now of making it to the final day.
Yeah, Argentina has really surprised me with some of these games we've seen, especially against New Zealand. They had nothing going offensively. And you mentioned this too, on that night, 7th inning, you could see the pitching starting to unravel. And this young team, they were patient, taking their time with their at-bats, all of a sudden wearing down that Team New Zealand bullpen and getting themselves to this game against Nicaragua.
Here is the starting lineup for Argentina as dropped by Rolando Arnedo this morning. Lucas Stallman goes from not starting in game 1 of this WBC qualifier to getting a couple of nods in the 9 spot. Now he's all the way up in the 1 hole leading off for this team. Ezekiel Televi batting 3rd has been fantastic. 2 for 6, but he's also walked 5 times. Regan is a threat out of the 5 spot, Nakandakri out of the 7 spot as well, as you take a look at the starting 9 for Argentina. And on the other side, an interesting starter for Nicaragua in Kevin Gadea, a pitcher who was at one time a big league rule 5 pick, out of baseball for a little while, was back in 2021, still trying to find his way.
Yeah, it was on his fast track to the big leagues. You mentioned the fact he was a big league rule 5 out of A-ball, and then all of a sudden just ran into injuries. 3 straight years of being dealing with injuries. Who's back on the mat with the Mets in 2022 this year. So I'm telling you, Argentina, look, they've been up against some tough pitching. You go back to that Panama game. So this is not new for them. But I'll tell you what, this is a tough matchup when their offense has gone a little flat for Team Argentina.
Defensive alignment for Nicaragua, Valle, Bernard, and Bermudez in the outfield, a little bit different than what we saw in the early games for Nicaragua. Leighton out there at shortstop, former big leaguer Cuthbert over at first, Novoa, a veteran behind the plate to receive the tosses of Kevin Gadea, and Lucas Stallman about set to lead things off. The Boston College Eagle, a guy who has already made his way through school but has the extra year of eligibility. So he, as we heard from his family a few days ago, hanging out outside the ballpark after Argentina's first win of this World Baseball Classic qualifier. He will return to Boston College this spring for another season with the Eagles in the ACC, and he is ready to lead things off here on what has turned into a beautiful Wednesday morning at Estadio Nacional Rod Carew.
You mentioned Lucas Stallman. I remember he was he was pinch hitting, and then we had the camera on him in left field. You can see the big smile on his face. All of a sudden, he's getting a chance to play in the World Baseball Classic. Then he finds his way into the lineup, and then here he is leading off.
And he gets things started at 10:05 in the morning, a game that we got bumped up a little bit due to some threats of rain this afternoon. And thankfully, as you can see, it is a gorgeous morning here at Rod Carew Stadium as Stallman tries to hold up late on that 1-0 pitch, and the count goes even on him at 1-1. Stallman 2 for his first 7 with a run batted in through his first few games here in the Classic. That was really cool on that first night with his team playing Pakistan. He got in late in that game, and he'll bloop this one towards shallow right, and a tough play out there for Elmer Reyes, but he makes the grab. 1 up, 1 down.
And we talk about, first of all, playing here in the sun. The sun's coming down, so some of those fly balls can be a little tough to see. Not only that, too, the fact it's 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And, I've been in situations, coming up in the minor leagues where you get those 10 a.m., those school game, midweek games. I'm telling you, man, it hits you like a ton of bricks that first inning. So you're a little flat-footed defensively. You may see a couple mishaps here early. Takes you a couple innings to get your feet under you for sure.
Yeah, the nice thing, at least, is you had the off day yesterday, a qualifier-wide off day, but still it throws off your normal rhythms as they come to a game day, as the leadoff man for the first 3 days for this Argentina team, Sebastian Garcia, stands in and takes strike 1. What was your favorite school kids' day game?
Oh, man. There's a lot of them, let me tell you. I remember some 10 a.m. SpongeBob SquarePants every half inning.
I was going to ask if SpongeBob was the thing when you were playing, too. I'd say 2 as though I played. I was a radio guy in the minor leagues, and yeah, it was every 10 a.m. first pitch, there was about 35 different instances of playing the SpongeBob theme song as a called strike 3 over the outside corner. Good start for Kevin Gadea.
Gadea, you got that plus velocity, looking at 91s, 92s today. Good command, too, that fastball painted. Like I said, this is going to be a tough matchup for Argentina, but they did run into Humberto Mejia, Randall Delgado just a couple nights ago, plus pitching.
That was a cool moment there with a couple of guys who play professionally in the Italian Baseball League. The batter is Ezekiel Televi, and the backstop Melvin Novoa. A high five and a little hug for those two. Ball and no strikes on Televi. Ezekiel has been an on-base machine for this team. He's 2 for 6 at the plate, but he's also walked 5 times so far here in this qualifier over his team's first 3 games. Argentina opened with a 7-4 win over Pakistan, a game they trailed 1-0. And pulled away with 4 runs in the 6th. They never got anything going against Panama on night number 2, an 11-0 loss in 7 innings in that game, but they rebounded 2 nights ago with a 4-1 win over New Zealand, 4 runs in the 7th in that game to erase a 1-0 deficit. 1-0.
Going back to that game, too, I mean, they're down 1-0, and all of a sudden New Zealand's like, okay, we got you right here. Roll out their 2 best arms when you think about it. A couple of minor league prospects coming out, good velocity. Argentina was, like you said, just patient up and down the lineup, making it throw strikes, and they couldn't do it.
That is the thing that's really impressed us most about Argentina is the discipline, especially for a team on this stage for the first time. There's very little panic in that dugout, and I think a lot of that you can attribute to their manager, Rolando Arnedo, and Marcelo Alfonsín, their pitching coach, a couple of guys who coach in the minor leagues in 2 different systems in the U.S. and in the Dominican Republic. And a called strike 3 on Televi. Great start to this one for Kevin Gadea. The easy pop out from Stallman, back-to-back strikeouts. We're going to the bottom of the first. Argentina scoreless. Nicaragua coming up. Starting lineup for Argentina looks like this coming out for day number 4 of this World Baseball Classic qualifier. It's Brandon Layton, the shortstop. Check that. In Nicaragua's starting lineup is Brandon Layton, the shortstop. Cheslor Cuthbert, the former big leaguer, in the 3-hole. Melvin Novoa has been really good. He is out of the 6th spot in the lineup. Norlando Valle gets a start. He has been mostly off the bench so far. And on the other side, starting pitcher for Argentina is Eric Ma, who celebrated his 24th birthday just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, we saw him a couple nights ago against Pakistan on the opening day of these qualifiers. 2 good innings, strikeout. There's a lot different lineup, though, than what he's going to be seeing from Pakistan, that is for sure.
Yeah, so leadoff man, Brandon Layton, the shortstop. Isaac Bernard will follow him, then Cheslor Cuthbert. Those are the 3 due to the plate. And the count 1-1. If there's one thing that we've learned about these 2 teams, I feel like over the first few days of this qualifier, they've got guys who are going to pound the strike zone 1-2 fouled away. And I think that's been one thing that's been impressive and maybe to an extent somewhat surprising about Argentina is the amount of strike throwers that they have. Because so often we see with the non-traditional baseball countries or the countries that just have a little bit less experience on this stage, getting guys who just consistently throw strikes can be a challenge. Fly ball in the air to center. Garcia's got it in his sights. 1 out.
Yeah, you make a good point. I think another layer to that is commanding that secondary pitch in the strike zone too. That's always that challenge. We talk a lot, and we talked a lot about this in Germany and obviously here in Panama. When you have some of these teams that roll into a qualifying series and there's a bit of a mismatch, obviously Panama versus I guess Argentina the other night, it always comes down to that pitching depth. And like I said, with that, it's trying to pitch around contact away from some big hits, and all of a sudden you get yourself in trouble 2-0, 3-1, and that's where you give up those big innings.
First pitch up and away to Isaac Bernard, the son of the guy who was originally slated to be the manager of this team, Marvin Bernard. Isaac born in the United States during his dad's big league time. January of 1996, his birthday, born in Arizona. Playing an independent ball for the Gateway Grizzlies in the Frontier League. 2-0 pitch on the way to him. That one's lifted. Left side. We'll get into shallow left field, and Lucas Stallman making the call and the grab. 2 away. It's also a little bit challenging, too, playing at a different time of day. The sun has been really a non-factor. We've had overcast skies for pretty much every day, but today, not only are you staring into sunny skies, totally different position than it would be in an 1 o'clock game.
For sure. I think for Nicaragua, I mean, we've seen this. Even took a little bit to get going against Pakistan. You look at the way they were matched up, and obviously we talked about some of the mismatches, and that was definitely one of them a couple days ago. I tell you what, if you're Argentina, pay attention here. If all of a sudden you get an Eric Ma who can start filling up the strike zone with that pitch right there, that slider, you catch this offense asleep, you might be in business.
Mark Stewart from the United States, our home plate umpire today. Juan Rodriguez from the Dominican Republic at third base. Dane Ponsack from the U.S. at second. Michael Uloe from Spain is at first. And a drive foul down the left field line. So our first of 2 today from here at Estadio Rod Carew. Tonight we got a real good one on tap with Brazil and Panama playing for the first ticket to the World Baseball Classic. Expecting another big crowd in the house for that one. 2-2 high. Eric Ma coming with some good velocity here after this morning first pitch as well today. Here's the full count pitch. And a fly ball in the air to left. Left center, and the catch made out there by Garcia. 3 outs in the sky to the outfield, and 3 up, 3 down goes each side. Here to get this thing rolling, headed to the second. This Argentina team, 2-1 to get this World Baseball Classic qualifier started, and they have made a business out of comeback wins. They were down 1-0 going to the bottom of the 7th on Sunday against New Zealand and rallied for 4 runs, really largely on New Zealand's mistakes. Walks, hitters hit by pitches, that wild pitch there, just 1 hit as Lucas Stallman came through with a bleeder of a single, and Argentina rallied to take the lead and the win.
Yeah, we're watching that go down, that 7th inning. We kept talking about how, you know, for Team New Zealand, just not able to execute some of these pitches and lose the command and get rattled and everything else. But on the flip side, man, there were some big pitches made and some big, you know, grinding at bats from this Argentinian team. It was impressive, the way they wore down that pitching from Team New Zealand and getting up 4-1, and here they are.
Argentina coming into this penultimate day of the qualifier, I mean, even no matter what happens today, no matter what happens tomorrow, if they win today to make it through, Rolando Arnedo and the people who have assembled not only this roster, but this entire national team program, Rafael Salinas, the president of the Argentine Baseball Federation, they have to be really, really proud with what they've put together with this roster, how these guys have acquitted themselves and battled here in Panama. First-time participants in a qualifier. You know, it's similar to what we saw from Pakistan this time out. Such progress from 2016's qualifiers to this time around. You know, Argentina now has 2 opportunities, really. If you win today, you keep yourselves alive. Even if you don't make it through to the Classic, you're getting such valuable innings and experience.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, let's not forget, this is the first time to a qualifying series. You know, they worked hard to get here to, you know, get their team one of those spots. It's not automatic where all of a sudden, hey, we have a baseball team and all right, we're going to qualify. It doesn't work that way. And we talked about that in that first day with their manager, Arnedo, how tough it was to get one of these spots, and here they are.
1-2. Hit well to center field, but Bernard will take the measure of this one to put it away. 1 out as Jacinto Cipriota is retired. That brings up Eduardo Zurbriggen, the designated hitter. Argentina has been making such massive strides on the international stage in both baseball and softball. They won the Men's Softball World Cup in its most recent edition, and we talked to Rolando Arnedo about that, and he said, we're obviously really proud of what those guys accomplished, and it brings such visibility to both sports to have a world championship team on the softball side. People look at baseball and think, all right, well, we can build that up too. Zurbriggen takes a strike. They have just been climbing the ranks on both stages, and here making a run toward one of the 2 World Baseball Classic tickets for next March. And on the other side of this matchup today for Sandro Guido, you got to have a lot of confidence being able to go to somebody like Kevin Gadea with your team's hopes on the line.
Yeah, and then look, they had the rough loss to Brazil. I kind of shocked them a little bit. They just offensively they just could not get anything going whatsoever. Obviously they break open against Team Pakistan, which let's be honest, that's obviously a big mismatch. But their bullpen is fresh. The pitching staff is fresh. They got so many options for today and tomorrow, if they get there, obviously.
It's another thing the off day yesterday did is anybody who threw on Sunday who needed that day of rest, they are available today. 2 balls and 2 strikes on the DH. Sunsplash morning in Panama City as we are coming up on 10:30 a.m. on at least what is starting as a beautiful day. Anticipating some rain this afternoon, but hopefully nothing that'll affect the night game too much. A good one on tap for 8 o'clock this evening with the host nation Panama playing for a trip to the Classic against upstart Brazil, a team that qualified 2 editions ago in the 2013 Classic. There's the first base runner of the day for either side as Zurbriggen works a good at bat and takes the walk.
You have to throw strikes to Argentina. They are disciplined, that is for sure. You wonder how many of these guys Went and checked out the Panama Canal yesterday, like you and me. How about that?
We had some fun
That was
watching ships go through the locks
Yeah,
and such. That was cool.
that was fun. I mean, you have to see it, right? You come all the way to Panama. You have to go to the Panama Canal.
That is true.
It's world famous.
We learned a lot yesterday. I still don't understand, as Agustin Teixeira takes strike one, how any of it works, because I'm dumb. But I also know, that's 120 years ago. They had the foresight and the knowledge and the technology to do that. And still today, I'm like, well, I'm a guy who can talk about baseball on TV. I don't know, how does anybody think of that? Foul ball, first base side.
Yeah, and then on top of that, too, usually, like, if it's some sort of technology that long ago, or that's kind of infrastructure that long ago, you think to yourself, okay, it'll become obsolete at some point. But it's still so significant. I mean, you see these ships rolling through there, and the cost
insane
blew me away to get through that canal. I had no idea. I asked Leia, I said, hey, what's the cost of these ships? I said, is there a fee? And she looked at me like I had two heads. And she said, oh, yeah, for this one here, there's, medium-sized boat. She said, she goes, $250. I'm like, $250?
You thought, like, well, that's not bad. That's reasonable.
And she said, no, this one here, $250,000. She said, see that one over there? It's well over, what, 600 grand?
600 grand.
I was blown away, man.
That was this massive oil tanker on there's a wider channel of the canal for the super tankers. $600-some thousand to get through.
And then straight away, my stupid brain's like, what if I just got my dinghy through here?
How much would it take for me to row through here? If I took a canoe through here, what would the cost be there? Well, they did tell us about a guy who, in 1928, I believe, swam the Panama Canal, and he paid 36 cents.
Which we did the calculations.
It's not quite as cheap as it sounds.
Right, yeah.
It's like $1,800 today.
Yeah.
Which seems a little expensive for just one person to swim through.
Yeah.
You get a man or a woman today, you'd think you'd cut him a deal. All right, you want to swim it? Also took him, I think they said 10 days to swim it. I would drown 15 minutes in.
What would it take for me to? How much would it take cost-wise for you, Tyler, to get a pair of Speedos, pair of goggles, and swim through that canal? What do you think?
A budgie smuggler, as you folks say, as the Australians say. You mean how much would it take, like what I need in compensation?
Right.
Well, first I'd have to take out a life insurance policy because there's no way I'm making it through. I think I'd probably do it for 650 grand, like that big ship.
Oh, yeah?
I think you can convince me to do it for that. What about you? Of the two of us, you'd be the one who could make it. You also said that you were like a high school swimmer of some note, some repute, as that ball skips through Navoa, and a wild pitch will move Zerbruggen to second.
I'm not too worried about getting through the canal. I'm a little bit worried about the Speedos, to be honest with you.
What I'm worried about, I did not notice this, but our producer Tim Fryer told us that on the bus on the way there yesterday, there were signs that were like, "What? Beware for crocodiles."
Oh yeah, that's the other part.
I didn't even see those.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Thankfully, we did not see any. We have seen some birds this morning that are like the size of pterodactyls, though. I'm a little worried about them. 2-2 swung on and missed as Gadea comes back and gets the strikeout, and that will retire the side. And we are headed to the bottom of the second inning. Quick start to this one on each side offensively. Big cut and miss. Going to the bottom of 2, scoreless. the second inning. 3 up, 3 down win Nicaragua in the first. Starting lineup for today's host team looks like this. Leighton Bernard and Cuthbert all dispatched in the first. So Reyes will lead things off here in the second, followed by the DH Britton and then Melvin Novoa, the catcher. Perez, Bermudez, and Valle rounding out the order. Bermudez and Valle kind of forcing their way into the lineup over the last couple of days. They got early action as pinch hitters. And now getting the start on a Tuesday morning here in Panama City, as Eric Ma gets set to go back to work for the bottom of 2. And his first pitch, the fastball in there for a strike, and it's 0-1 on the leadoff man, Elmer Reyes. Reyes 2 for 7 so far with a couple of singles and a run batted in. Eric Ma, I mean, just like we have seen from a lot of pitchers on this Argentina side, just gets the ball back and he's ready to go. I mean, Reyes is trying to dig in there. Ma's already on the rubber, set to go. Reyes had to call time and step back out. As we get some cloud cover moving in over Eric Ma. Reyes unable to hold up.
Yeah, it's that tempo and that presence. It's so important when you're a starting pitcher trying to set a tone. Any pitcher, actually. We talked about with some of the teams, you know, like Pakistan, New Zealand, how you can just see them implode and all of a sudden they start rushing. You know, they're not up there getting the ball back and attacking hitters. You can just, hitters like Elmer Reyes and some of the guys who Ma's going to face today, they can smell that from a mile away.
Here's a question for you, and you played in a ballpark that had a roof, so you didn't face this a lot at home, but if you are, I mean, there is the unavoidable fact of weather as it plays into baseball. We know that we've got rain on the way here for this afternoon. You get the ball on a day when weather could be coming later. Does that affect your mindset tempo-wise?
I don't think so. No, I think when you're in the moment, like Eric Ma is now, and you've got that, you know, that 12 seconds to take a couple of those breaths and dial in, I really think all those, you know, external things like weather, things essentially out of your control, what your offense is doing, you know, all these other little things that you think about, big picture stuff, how we're going to get through this qualifier, all that just kind of washes away when you're really in the thick of it. There could be that comment, you know, third, fourth inning, all of a sudden clouds roll over and, hey, listen, we're going to try and, you know, get through this before they bang this for rain or whatever, make this game official. But again, when you're in a situation where he is on the mound right now, you're thinking about nothing, get ahead, put these guys away the best you can.
Leadoff walk issued to Elmer Reyes. That'll bring up the designated hitter, Dwight Britton. Britton 3 for 7, couple of runs scored.
Now, on the flip side of that, too, you know, if you're, let's say, Nicaragua, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, we've got Argentina, let's just take care of this and we're good. And you start, you know, getting away from the moment, the task at hand. And again, we saw this, and we talked about this during the Pakistan game. All of a sudden, you might look up against someone who's throwing strikes and getting ahead and getting weak contact. All of a sudden, it's fourth, fifth inning, and you're down a run. You're like, oh, whoops. You see that a lot.
One ball and one strike on the right-handed hitting Dwight Britton. Out to short, and that's under the glove of the shortstop Teixeira and on into left field. So it's first and second to lead things off for Nicaragua in the second.
Eric Ma doing a good job to get that ground ball. These are plays you have to make. You see, I know that ball was hit hard, had some exit velo behind it, but man, you've got to take that extra step right there and knock that ball down, keep it in the infield, at least get one out.
So that brings up the catcher, Melvin Novoa. Formerly a Texas Rangers prospect, who made it as high as AA Frisco in 2021. He's got some previous World Baseball Classic qualifier experience back in 2016. Squares to bunt, takes it back for ball 1.
Wasting no time here, manufacture mode, the second inning.
First early offensive opportunity of the day belongs to Nicaragua. First and second to get things started in the second, and man, that one comes up and in on Novoa, who's able to foul it off. There's the homer hat over in the first base dugout. Maybe it's like a, it's like the rally hat. Like, even though you haven't hit the homer yet, if you wear the hat, you're generating the energy.
Yeah, or maybe the fact that it's 100% humidity, 10 o'clock and 85 degrees and the sun's crushing him. But
probably a much better.
He's like, hey, just give me that hat. He's like, hey, that's not what that's for. No, just give me the hat. I'm good.
I believe that's Luis Montealto, one of the backup outfielders on this team.
It's a good looking hat.
I'm telling you, I might get one. Just wear that on the plane on the way home. Here's the 1-1. 2-1. I like that they put the logo on the front.
I love that, yeah. Nice touch.
Completes the look.
By the way, and they've got
the flag on the side.
No, it's a sponsor. It's the.
Oh, that's even better.
Wow, that's
that makes it far more entertaining.
Pro right there.
2-1 pitch. Therefore, a called strike.
Big pitch. Breaking ball in the strike zone. That secondary stuff, command of it, super important now all of a sudden. Pulls the bunt back in this situation, gets that strike. Now it takes the bunt out of the equation with 2 strikes. Force him to swing the bat.
Novoa 3 for 5 with a home run in the qualifier so far. 2-strike offering is high. 3 balls and 2 strikes. What's your approach here?
Yeah, this situation, I mean, you have to challenge. I mean, he's already walked a hitter in this inning. The commands scuffling a little bit. You've got Milka Perez right after that.
And there it is as Novoa goes down on that one.
This is
out number 1.
This is a big strikeout. That's what we're talking about, challenging. Up at the top of the strike zone, you can see Nicaragua. We've seen this too, the chase from them. Chasing pitches out of the zone. Eric Ma exploited that. But this kid right here, Milka Perez, big prospect with the Seattle Mariners. Extremely patient, good plate discipline. He's in a big spot right here, trying to get his team something going offensively.
First pitch on the way to him is there for a called strike 1. Perez signed with the Mariners in July of 2018 as an international free agent. Just 20 years old. 19th ranked prospect in the Seattle system, according to MLB Pipeline. Switch hitter in from the left side. 0-2.
Yeah, the Mariners have really taken on that plate discipline aspect all throughout their minor league system, obviously in the big leagues too. You know, some of the guys they brought in, Jesse Winker, for example, had a down year this year, but one of the best when it comes to plate discipline in the big leagues. And they incentivize kids, you know, like when it comes to player of the year, and a lot of it based off some of the plate discipline metrics.
Just off the outside corner.
You can see quickly down 0-2, but just identifying that pitch down and away easily, that little change up down and away.
That is really his calling card. Last year between 2 teams in the M system, a .455 on base percentage. 2-2 now.
Yeah, they call it the dominate in the zone. That's some of the awards they give out, some of the minor league awards. Pitching and hitting.
2-2. Staying alive.
See that pitch count starting to climb too for Eric Ma. Keep that in mind too. You live to fight another day tomorrow. You want to have some fresh arms. You don't want to crush your bullpen on the day before you're trying to qualify for the World Baseball Classic, if you get that far.
Ma deals on 2-2, and a liner in the air to left field. Stallman there to make the catch. Everything put in play for an out has been on a fly out to either left or center against Eric Ma. So 2 gone now, and that'll bring up Sandy Bermudez, the right fielder.
And look, regardless of how efficient you are or how inefficient you are, if you throw 30 pitches this inning, the fact that you are now 2 outs into this thing, you had runners on, none out, bunt attempt. Got that big strikeout, little lazy fly ball to left field.
First pitch on the way to Bermudez. Good looking breaking ball, but it stays just out of the zone. Eric Ma thought it was there. 1-0. Leadoff walk to Elmer Reyes. He's at second. Dwight Britton got the game's first hit. Single through the left side. And now a drive down the right field line. This is trouble if it stays fair, which it will. And it'll one hop off the wall. Rounding third and scoring is Reyes. Britton into third. He'll be held there. It's a 2-out RBI double for Sandy Bermudez. And Nicaragua is on the board with a 1-0 lead in the second.
Man, Eric Ma, he was so close. Got that big out, that big strike and the lazy fly ball. We just talked about that. 2 outs in this inning. And this is what we haven't seen from Nicaragua, getting that big hit, even that extra base hit. They only had a couple of them against Panama. They scored 12 runs, but only the 2 extra base hits. This is something missing from that lineup all qualifiers long, and all of a sudden this could be that turning point for them to get going offensively.
Nicaragua, with that 4-1 loss to Brazil, their offense just never looked awake in that game. They looked a little flat, and then they came out and scored in 6 of 7 innings against Pakistan on Sunday. Put 5 runs on the board in the 4th. Took a 12-0 win in 7 innings. And Orlando Valle out of the 9 spot, trying to keep this thing going.
Yeah, a lot of singles, though. That's the one thing that stood out to me. Obviously 12 runs, but you're up against Pakistan. I mean, you're facing kids who obviously never played at this level. Plus, you're facing some teenagers, a couple 16-year-olds who we were so impressed by with that Pakistani team. But if you're in Nicaragua, that's a situation where you should be putting some thump into that offense, some doubles, some home runs. But we just didn't see it still.
0-2 and a foul on the check swing. Yeah, for Nicaragua, just 4 extra base hits coming into the day today. Two doubles, 2 home runs. And now a 5th one with a double here in this inning, and a wild pitch squirts away from Nakandakari, and that'll bring home Dwight Britton to make it a 2-0 game.
Yeah, Nakandakari, you got to get in front of that ball. You got to drop to those knees. Keep that thing in front of you. Especially the runner on second, and especially, look at that, trying to backhand that ball. Trying to keep your team in this, keep this close early on. Get yourself to the 5th or 6th inning in business.
Popped up and playable. Third base side, Nakandakari giving it the look and the catch, and that will do it for here in the second. But Nicaragua plates a pair on 2 hits in the inning, and we head to the top of the 3rd. Nicaragua, the world's number 15, out in front, 2-0 over Argentina. leave, and honestly kind of a bummer, but we are coming down to the end of this 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier slate as Pool B has already seen 2 teams go home. Pakistan and New Zealand have been dispatched, eliminated from this one after the first 2 days of play for those 2 teams. So 4 remain in the chase to the 2023 World Baseball Classic. Brazil and Panama will square off tonight with 1 ticket to the Classic on the line. The loser of that game plays the winner of this one, and as we head into the top of the 3rd, it's a 2-0 Nicaragua lead.
It comes at you quick, Tyler. I mean, even for us, you know, talking about this for months leading in, we've waited 5.5 years for World Baseball Classic to come back, and this is essentially a nice preview and so many good storylines to get to what we're going to experience in the month of March. The best teams in the world up against some of these qualifying teams. But man, if you're Argentina, New Zealand, Pakistan even, Nicaragua, I mean, you spend so much time, so many resources building these rosters, putting these teams together, making sure guys are available, seeking out, you know, who has that passport from your country, whatever it may be. And it literally comes down to 2 losses and you're done.
Matias Robles is the leadoff man for Argentina here in the top half of the 3rd inning. Robles out of Cordoba, Argentina, playing in the German Bundesliga for Mannheim. Yeah, it is crazy to think about how long we anticipated this. We kind of first started the conversation of hopefully being involved in this 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier slate over the last 3 weeks. That was back in like April, I think, when we first started talking about it. We've been so excited about it for the last 5 months, and now it's almost over. And
yeah,
how am I going to go back to normal life? 2-0 the score. And a big hack and miss there to make it 2-2. Robles from Cordoba, Argentina. And there's another Cordoba making headlines in this World Baseball Classic qualifier. And kind of an interesting coincidence. Kevin Gadea, the starting pitcher for Nicaragua, was a Rule 5 pick, as we noted, as this one's bounced out to short, and an easy hop there for Brandon Layton. And when Kevin Gadea was taken in the Rule 5 pick in 2016, the player who was taken before him in that Rule 5 draft is Panama's outfielder Alan Cordoba, who was taken by the San Diego Padres. And we talked about this a couple of nights ago during Panama's first game. Alan Cordoba had never played above rookie ball and was taken in the major league portion of that draft, and therefore had to stay on the major league roster for the entire next season. He had never played above rookie ball, and he ended up hitting over 200 in the big leagues, which is astounding. And since then, he's been back in the minor leagues. He's spent some time in Mexico as well. But the talent to jump from, I was in the Appalachian League last year, and now I'm playing Major League Baseball, and I'm holding my own, is stunning. For Kevin Gadea, wasn't quite as easy. He battled injuries, as Ryan said, and he hasn't pitched in affiliated ball a whole lot over the last few years. He did pitch in the Mets and Yankees organizations in 2021. And squares off with Andres Kim here. Yeah,
not only the jump in talent, but also the change in lifestyle too.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah, you go from Johnson City, Tennessee in the Appalachian League to San Diego, California, living a big league life. That's a little different. 2 different economic brackets, to say the least.
And, you know, I mean, essentially just a couple of years removed from just being that wide-eyed 16, 17-year-old saying, you know, put your hand up to sign when some scout rolls into your town and says, hey, look, you're talented. We want you to join this organization. Here you are. Big League Rule 5. Tyler, we've talked about this before. I was a Major League Rule 5 pick, and I'll never forget getting that call from the GM of the Minnesota Twins, Terry Ryan. So this is Terry Ryan. Hey, welcome to the Twins. We just picked you up in the Rule 5. And my response, Tyler, was, yeah, sorry, what does that mean? Great first impression.
The Rule 5 draft is confusing. I mean, to say the least. Even for people who have worked in baseball for a while, you kind of think like, all right, what are the parameters on this again? Kevin Gadea was a member of the Tampa Bay Rays organization after that selection. He was originally signed by the Mariners in July of 2012 and was terrific in that system. 2013 to 2016, played at Class A in 2016. But it's been elbow issues over the last few years for him. He did pitch in the America's Olympic qualifier last summer. And a call strike 3 there as he freezes Andres Kim, and he has been outstanding so far. That's strikeout number 5 for Kevin Gadea.
Yeah, it's easy to see why a Major League organization would take the punt on putting him on a Major League roster. I mean, look at that. He's 90-92. Really good tilt on that ball. Late, sharp breaking ball, that slider of his. Kind of just disappears. He's got really good stuff. You mentioned the injuries. That's unfortunate, man. You get to have that chance to be a Major League Rule 5 pick, and then you battle injuries for a couple years. It's tough. We talked about this as well. Look, I mean, sitting right behind home plate now, you have scouts from Korea, Japan. They come to these events all the time. They seek out arms just like Gadea in this situation. I mean, you're talking good life on that fastball. You don't have to put up with a Major League organization trying to buy him out of any kind of contract. Find himself playing, especially if Nicaragua go into March, find himself playing Japan and Korea, one of the biggest leagues in the world.
Gadea won't be 28 until December 6th. 1 ball and 2 strikes back at the top of the order on Lucas Stallman. He was great in the Yankees system 2 years ago. 26 relief appearances with Double-A Somerset, a 2-1 record and a 2.97 ERA. He also pitched 2 games at the Triple-A level with Scranton Wilkes-Barre and did not allow a single earned run over 5 innings. But this past year in the Mets organization, an ERA near 12 as Stallman lifts this one high down the left field line. A long run for Orlando Valle, and onto the mound in the bullpen. He makes the catch. Good focus from the Nicaragua left fielder, and we will head to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Nicaragua out in front of Argentina, 2-0 in Panama City. Let's take a look at the big picture for these 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier teams. The 2023 format, the WBC returns for first-round action starting March 8th in Taichung in Taiwan, as Chinese Taipei will host the Netherlands, Cuba, and Italy. Pool B gets started the next day in Tokyo, Japan, Korea, Australia, China. The U.S. will take the field as the reigning champs against Mexico, Colombia, and Canada in Phoenix, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, the Dominican Republic, and Israel in Miami. And all of those groups will be joined by one qualifying team from either here in Panama or a couple of weeks ago in Germany. Great Britain and the Czech Republic moving on. We don't know which teams are going where yet. That won't be settled until after the conclusion of this qualifier here in Panama. But it's going to be a lot of fun baseball come March as a pop out by Brandon Layton starts things here in the 3rd.
And no easy pools either. There's no easy way to get there. I mean, you look at that too. The two, obviously, in Taiwan, Japan. You get through those, then you're on an international flight into an absolute buzzsaw when you're talking the Dominican Republic, Team USA, Puerto Rico. But, Tyler, I've heard from people from all over the world, you know, during these qualifiers, they've tuned in, or they're following on social media or whatever it may be, and like, Yeah, anytime you flash up those pools, everyone is so excited.
Yeah.
Baseball community, non-baseball baseball community. Yeah, I've heard from a lot of people excited to get going for March.
It is going to be a whole lot of fun having the World Baseball Classic back, finally. We got a message yesterday from Germany's first base coach, Simon Walters, who, even though his team didn't make it through from hosting Pool A action in Regensburg a couple of weeks ago, he said he's still been watching games and tuned in. You know, we talked the other day about just the reaction on social media when it was announced that the World Baseball Classic was returning and how excited people were to have it back as Isaac Bernard faces a 1-2 count. And that's great, man. I mean, the event and its growth over the last decade plus, nearly 15 years now, has been so exciting, or over 15 years now, has been so exciting to watch. But to see the fan enjoyment grow has been incredible, especially over the last 5 years since the United States won in 2017.
Yeah. First of all, Eric Ma, fastball up in the zone. I like this pitch. You're starting to see more of that where he's starting to elevate a little bit more. He's noticing the chase rate from this Nicaragua team. They will chase pitches. You see Eric Ma get out of the strike zone with 2 strikes. Yeah, but you said too, even that game, you know, New Zealand went down 4-1 against Argentina. And just hearing from people, you know, from New Zealand and Australia too. Obviously, they're, you know, their neighbours, and just talking about how much they've loved the games, the coverage, how excited they are to get going for March. I gotta say too, I mean, after 2017, you're thinking on the world stage, it's got huge momentum. Obviously, we had to deal with, you know, we had the pandemic, but here we are, 5.5 years later.
0-2 pitch on the way. Right-handed swinging Cheslor Cuthbert able to hold up there. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
You talked about that the tempo too for Eric Ma as well. That getting the ball back, getting straight back into good counts, and you can see already 0-2, 1-2 on the first couple of hitters. He's going to get out of the strike zone here with 2 strikes.
Ma trying to rebound from giving up 2 last inning and a bouncing ball foul. Argentina's bullpen, they started the game, all of them in the dugout, and they appear to have been kicked out, sent down the line. You guys get out of here. Go sit on your own bench. Taking up too much space in the shade in the dugout. 2-2 pitch. 3-2 as Cuthbert battles his way back.
See, the thing about these games, these 10 a.m. or these 1 o'clock when the sun's beating down and you've got to sit in that open air bullpen down there, just zapping the life out of you.
As a reliever, is it better? You spent some time pitching in Asia. You pitch in the Chinese Professional Baseball League in Taiwan. It's pretty common over there that the bullpen will be completely removed from the playing field. We may have to talk about this next half inning where we got a foul. Do you like being in a circumstance like this, maybe not right in play on the foul line, but in a place where you can keep track of the game, or do you like being able to be focused in your own spot?
No, I want to be, you know, a part of the game, because I'll tell you right now, and you mentioned, you know, playing in different parts of the world, but even
Mike left side and on through a 2-strike single for Cheslor Cuthbert to keep the inning going.
But even, you know, even at the major league level, there's some places where you can just kind of get, you know, taken away from what's happening in the game, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, it hits you like a ton of bricks. 6 inning rolls around, phone rings, like, man, I'm going to get going. The worst was the old Shea Stadium.
Okay.
I felt like you're out in a parking lot, and I can only really watch the game on TV.
Right.
And you can't hear the noises, and that old Shea Stadium on a weekend series, they used to pack that place.
Yeah.
So you roll out and just the crowd, the 50-something thousand that place, that big donut stadium used to be able to hold. You're like, whoa.
After you've been stuck in a room where you can't hear and you're not interacting with it at all.
Yeah, I mean, because literally the bullpen, they just kind of shoved it out there in left field. And look, you can see cars behind you. Like there's a, you know what I'm saying? And you're just watching it on the TV. And you can't, and the noise too, you're so far removed.
We did games in the Tokyo Dome a few years ago, you and I remember talking with some of the pitchers on various teams there who said, it's weird because we're downstairs, we can't hear anything, you can't see anything. And then the same sort of deal, you come out, especially if you're pitching against that Samurai Japan team, you come out and the opposing fans are going nuts. It's deafening.
Yeah.
And you've been, essentially sequestered in your own private room for the entirety of the game, and you walk out into a completely different environment. Foul ball, foul down the line.
Yeah, that's a big adjustment. And people might think, oh, it's just a bullpen. No. You're essentially in a batting cage. Like underground.
Yeah.
You can't hear anything. You watch the game on TV. You might sneak out in the dugout here and there to try and get your bearings a little bit. And then you walk out of the dugout, which is kind of bizarre too, onto the field. You're like, whoa, hold on. It hits you. It really does.
Definitely not a problem here at Estadio Rod Carew with the bullpens in play down the lines. There's a fly ball, well hit to right field, but it'll push Robles back to make the catch, backpedaling onto the track. Elmer Reyes is retired, and a man is left aboard here in the third. We'll go to the fourth, 2-0 Nicaragua.
Well, Tyler, we've talked a lot about some of the pitching limitations and usage and how, Steve Finley calling it like a chess match, basically, how you navigate through your bullpen. If you look at this, if a pitcher throws 30-plus pitches, he must rest at least 1 day. So you look at the Nicaraguan starter right now, Gaeta, he is essentially done. This is it for him. He can take a seat tomorrow. If a pitcher throws 50-plus, must rest for at least 4 days. That becomes irrelevant at this point in the qualifiers. And this is the big one for the guy we're watching on the mound right now. For Gadea, it's situation. He's cruising right now. He gets 85 pitches. You have to hand the ball over. But I will say this: Argentina and Nicaragua have done a really good job of managing their bullpens. We saw Nicaragua on that first day have all those pitch change, keeping everyone under the 30 pitch threshold to keep everyone available for the days coming. But essentially for Nicaragua, the only one who's unavailable is J.C. Ramirez, who pitched against Brazil, the former big leaguer. And for Argentina, for the amount of games and innings they've had to play, they're pretty fresh in regards to how they can use their bullpen. But a lot comes down to this. That's why it's super important for Eric Ma to get deep into this game, because not only do you need options for today, you live to fight for tomorrow. You need some of those arms. That is for sure.
We saw that 85-pitch limit play a pretty big role in that matchup between New Zealand and Argentina, because New Zealand's starter, Ryan Sanders, was dealing, but he only made it through 4 2/3 of shutout balls, scattering 4 hits, striking out 5, walking 1, and immediately, as Argentina got into the bullpen, shouldn't say immediately, but shortly after they got into the bullpen, Elliot Johnson ran into trouble in the 7th with his team in the lead, 1-0. Started that inning off with 2 walks and a hit batsman before he departed, and Argentina ended up bringing home 4. And on the other side, Federico Robles was so efficient. He went 7 innings on 83 pitches, 58 strikes, as that comes inside and gets a piece of Ezekiel Televi. So he continues to find ways on with another hit by pitch.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, back to that game and talking about how you have to sort of play this with your bullpen. You mentioned Team New Zealand. Scott Campbell had 2 of his biggest arms, and the second one, Connor Gleason, you could tell he was trying to save him as well. But it got to a point where he couldn't. He had to go tap into some of that depth, and they gave it up all of a sudden. You're panicking. You're like, okay, we have to bring in Connor Gleason right now. If a situation played itself out the way you sort of map it out, it'd be totally different. But, man, it plays such a big role.
So 1 out base runner aboard, and here is Jacinto Cipriota.
Even going back to Germany, Czech Republic, the fact that Martin Snyder and then Kovala were able to, just those 2 arms, get through that game through Germany, and they're both so good. Saving that bullpen, having enough arms for that qualifying game against Spain, and ultimately getting through to the World Baseball Classic in March.
Cipriota way out in front of that one. Former Tampa Bay Rays prospect, born in Buenos Aires. Spent some time in the Rays organization in the Dominican Summer League, the Venezuelan Summer League, and the Gulf Coast League, 3 different levels of rookie ball. Signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. Played in the DSL for them in the Dominican Republic as well. And then spent a lot of time in indie ball. Pitch up high, 2 balls and a strike. And not in the most glamorous of indie ball leagues, the North American League, the United League. A couple of stops for him, but he has also played a lot just back home in South American Championships, the Pan Am Games. Cipriota 3 for 12 here in the qualifier. Got himself a walk. Fly out back in the second to start that inning, and 3 balls and a strike on him as the command has started to wane from Gadea. Some throwing down the left field line in the Argentina bullpen and some stirring down the right field line in Nicaragua's as the count goes full on Cipriota.
And I've seen Guido have short leashes on all these pitches. We've seen that in both Nicaraguan games. No problem going to that bullpen.
Three-two runner off with it and inside for ball 4. First and second now as something rolling for Argentina in the top of the 4th.
And all of a sudden, Argentina is starting to take advantage of that command or lack of. See Gadea right now, just situation 2. Let's not forget, some of these guys coming out of whatever season they've come out of, are they in pitching shape? Are they in starting shape? Have they been stretched out enough? Once you get into that 50, 60 pitch mark, what kind of shape you're going to be? And the first thing that goes when you are tired, when you are fatigued, is that command. It's not so much the velocity. You'll see the command start to wane a little bit, especially on secondary pitches.
You know, for Kevin Gadea, yes, he did pitch this year in the minor leagues, but his last appearance with AA Binghamton in the Eastern League was June 3rd. So it's been a while since he's been out there getting regular action. He was a starter on that team, but his final outing, just 1 out recorded, 5 runs on 2 hits, including a homer and 3 walks.
Yeah, I mean, you're reading off that right now. I've been there, man, where if you're coming out of the bullpen or you're just going to pitching sporadic, a couple innings here, a couple innings there, all of a sudden you get, this roster gets put together and your manager from Nicaragua says, hey, listen, I need you to start one of these games, and you start thinking to yourself, man, how much do I have in the tank? How much am I built up? And you see it right here. You get to that 50, 60 pitch mark, things start to change.
So first and second, 1 gone. And the DH, Zerbergen standing in. Eduardo with a walk in his first trip to the plate. Back in the second. He's got 1 hit in the qualifier, but 4 walks. And it's 2 balls and no strikes as Nicaragua now getting work going in earnest in the bullpen.
And you are not going to get any quick, cheap outs if you're not throwing strikes against Argentina. That's one thing they do so well.
Two-0. That really has been the thing that's impressed me most about Argentina. And I've mentioned this several times, but the discipline for this team. You expect the young teams or the teams that are here for the first time on this stage to just be antsy. And I know it's day 4 now, and that changes things a little bit, but we saw this day 1 with Argentina. They're content to work counts, take pitches, put together good plate appearances. They've been a very mature team in their approach, and a flare down the left field line is down for a base hit, and now it trickles away from Valle as he overruns it, and that could tie this game. Around from first is Cipriota. It's a 2-run double for Zurbriggen, and this game is all level at 2-2 in the 4th.
Now, what a big moment for Argentina. A couple things. Get in the situation, you get a fastball blown by you. The pitch before that, then all of a sudden, put good contact on this ball into left field. And then all of a sudden, Valle just cannot keep that ball in front of him. Situation, he'll be the first to tell you, playing in the outfield for a lot of years in professional baseball, you have to keep that ball in front of you. This is going to be the end for Gidea.
Some side spin on that ball as it flared down the left field line. It escapes from Valle. And Sandor Guido out to get his starter and head to the bullpen here in the 4th. We got a good one on our hands. That is the first hit of the day for Argentina, and it ties this game. We'll tell you about Nicaragua's reliever when we return. Eduardo Zurbriggen cleaning up the base paths with a 2-run double to get his team on the board. The first hit of the day for Argentina, chasing Kevin Gidea from this ballgame. And as we move along here in the top of the 4th, there is that knock. And, man, just a tough route from Norlando Valle, which really, I mean, if that ball bounces the way he was expecting, he's there. But the side spin to it off the end of the bat shot it off toward the foul line, and it gets by him to bring in the second run.
Yeah, but priority number one in that situation, you got to round that thing up, make sure it stays in front of you with that trail runner. You're not going to get the guy at second base, but you know, at least keep that guy, keep that ball in front of you. It should be a 2-1 game. I'm going to say Argentina, look, we've talked about the plate discipline, number one, but number two, it's not just about, hey, you can just take pitches all day long. You have to be able to identify certain pitches to be able to, you know, have that plate discipline. But also, too, just not being rattled by some of the velocity as well. I mean, that was a fastball up in the zone. That was good contact. These guys don't see a whole lot of that. You see Junior Tellez in for Nicaragua. He was kind of that stopper in that big inning for Brazil, that first game.
Pitch on the way, lofted to right. Bermudez makes the grab, 2 gone. And we talked a lot about how Argentina got here to this 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier. And for Rafael Salinas, the president of the Argentine Baseball Federation, and Rolando Arnedo and this entire staff, I would imagine you come in with a little bit of angst, you know, wondering how your guys are going to fare against some of the best ball players in the world. But this team, they have been confident from the get-go, and they have shown more than anything how much they belong on this stage as Lucas Nakandakari stands in. And that has got to be just a tremendously validating feeling for this Argentinian side. And Argentine baseball fans back home. And not to mention, this is a roster that is somewhat short-handed coming into this qualifier. They had 5 players turned away due to visa issues. So Argentina coming in without some of the guys that they really expected to rely on for big innings and at-bats.
Yeah, and that can sink your confidence as well. We talked to some of the guys from Argentina that first day and talking about that 5 key players, impact players, all of a sudden. And that's days before, essentially, you're about to put this thing together. That's a huge blow, but here they are, 2-2 against Nicaragua.
Nakandakri 2 for 8 so far in the qualifier, including his strikeout to end the second inning. Trying to keep things going and give his team a lead with a runner in scoring position here in the 4th. Takes that one for a strike. Kevin Gadea departs this game after having thrown 57 pitches over 3 1/3. So if Nicaragua advances, as we noted, he will not be available tomorrow. That one on the inside corner, 2-2. The winner of tonight's game between Brazil and Panama is on to the World Baseball Classic. The winner of this game will meet the loser of that one tomorrow for the 4th and final WBC ticket from our 2 qualifiers here in 2022. 2-2 pitch.
And right there, Sandro Guido, he's going to be running through this entire bullpen. We saw that first night. You can see a lot of matchups as this game goes along.
Two pitch on the way from Tellez, and that one was nowhere close as it drills Nakandakri. Second batter hit by a pitch in this inning.
You see Tellez drop down that arm slot, trying to create a little bit of deception, just not able to command that breaking ball. Argentina again, just base runners all over the place.
And all of it on 1 hit so far. 2 walks, 2 batters hit by pitches, the 1 double from Zerbergen to give his team its first 2 runs of the day. Ball misplayed down the line by Valle. And a big chance here for Matias Robles. Taking ball 1.
Tellez getting some help right there, but from home plate umpire Mike Stewart. Ball was definitely up out of the strike zone.
You can tell Robles certainly agrees with your assessment. Trying to get a feel for if that's going to be a strike the rest of this at bat. Now chasing, and it's 1-2. It's got to throw you out of your headspace too as a hitter, where you lose strike 1, and then you're frustrated trying to hold up and unable to for strike 2.
Yeah, especially when you turn around, you have that conversation with the umpire, and you question his strike calling ability.
And a swing and a miss. So a big strikeout there for Tellez, and that gets this thing into the bottom of the 4th. But Argentina bounces right back with 2, and we head to the bottom of the 4th in a brand new ball game, all tied up at 2 apiece.
we take a look at Nicaragua and their baseball-rich history. You can see right now introduced to the country by the U.S. Look at that retailer Adolf Aldersberg. Tyler, how was that in the 1800s?
Pretty good.
First official game played in 1891. They've been on the world scene, on the international baseball scene a lot. They always pop up. They're always one of the most competitive countries. They're in that geographically, they're in that region that's so competitive. Here they are, just a couple wins away from getting to the World Baseball Classic.
Sandro Guido, the manager of this squad. You kind of wonder going forward, too, if Nicaragua qualifies, if he'll be the manager come March, if Marvin Bernard will slide back into this role. Bernard was scheduled to be the skipper of this team and then had to leave essentially right before the start of the tournament due to a family issue. So you wonder if, you know, Guido, a guy who's won multiple national championships as a manager in the Nicaraguan Professional League, he's won a Caribbean series. He has had success managing at the youth levels. He's managed in the U23 World Cup. Is he the guy that they stick with going forward? First, they got to get there. Dwight Britton will lead things off with a ground out to third as sticking with it, Andres Kim able to get it to Cipriota in time for the tag.
Now, one thing to pay attention to now, all of a sudden Nicaragua, they're in situations 2-2. They're starting to press a little bit. We talked about how much they chase. But then you start seeing at bats like this, where all of a sudden they're trying to force the issue. We saw this even against Brazil that first game. This is a situation, man. Argentina are sitting pretty. If they can continue to throw strikes and get some of these quick outs, get deep in this game, keep this runs total where it's at, they're in a good spot.
Melvin Novoa takes ball one down low. 3 for 6 in the qualifier is Novoa. Bounces that one back off of Eric Ma, or check that off of the reliever, I should say, and Jose Mendoza redirecting it to Garcia.
Yeah, you mentioned Jose Mendoza in this game, off the glove, getting the big out. Now, Mendoza, we saw him against New Zealand, came in, shut it down. Look at that over-the-top deception. Well, they've done a good job with that bullpen too, with the management of it. Everyone ready to roll. Ramon started from a couple days ago, the only one who's unavailable.
So the final line in this game for Eric Ma, 3 innings, 3 runs, or 3 hits, 2 runs. 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. He faced 13 batters. And he ended the day by throwing 63 pitches, 39 for strikes. And with 2 gone, a 2-1 count on Milcar Perez, the 19th ranked Mariners prospect via MLB Pipeline. 2-2. The high strike is certainly getting called today. As Perez crowding that plate from the left-handed side. Takes the 2-2 for ball 3. Full count and rifled back up the middle. A 2-out single for Perez, his first hit of the qualifier.
Yeah, that ball was crushed. Right back up the middle. Now I'm looking at this too. Eric Ma, who pitched really well. I mean, you know, like you said, 3 innings, 3 hits. Gave up a couple runs. One of them, you know, on that pass ball, but 63 pitches. I'm kind of a little bit surprised the decision to take him out. He may have come in and said, "Hey, look, I'm cooked, I'm done." But I mean, you still got some miles in that arm to get through another inning. Especially too, you go through to tomorrow. Save that bullpen a little bit.
Yeah, it is a little curious, especially already knowing that you wouldn't have him available tomorrow. Why not let him go out there and max out at 85 pitches to try to save your bullpen? But for this Argentina staff and Rolando Arnedo, I guess just trying to give as many different looks as possible to this talented Nicaragua lineup. Second time through the lineup for Nicaragua today is Sandy Bermudez, who had the two-run double, or had the run-scoring double in the second. That was followed by the wild pitch to bring in Nicaragua's second run, facing a hitter's count here at 2-0. Two and one. Pretty nice morning for baseball here in Panama City. There is what I believe is an apartment complex up the hill out in left field. I've been thinking this whole time, how cool would that be to go sit on the balcony and watch these teams compete in the qualifier. Runner off of the pitch, throw to second is not in time to get Milcar Perez. And we may see a challenge to this one as Rolando Arnedo is immediately out of the third base dugout to go talk with his middle infielders. Oof.
Yeah, it looked like got that right foot in underneath the tag.
That's a great throw.
Another reason why Milcar Perez is in that top 20 prospect list, on that list I should say, for the Mariners, showing off that speed. Saw the good contact up the middle, the plate discipline, plays really good defense.
Swiping a bag in a potentially big moment here with a hitter's count. And Bermudez, who drove in the first run of this game, at the plate. Mendoza with a look at Perez. 3-1 is a called strike two.
It's a big pitch. Yeah, it's just a matter for Mendoza. Can he execute with those secondary pitches? A big break ball right here, open base.
3-2 pitch up high for ball four. The second walk issued by Argentinian pitching today, and it's first and second with two gone.
Now, we've seen this already a couple times in a couple of these at-bats, trying to do too much with that break ball, that thing spinning out the top of his hand. We even saw that against New Zealand as well. You see Nicaragua, I've talked about how aggressive they are, but they can start to smell it out. And all of a sudden you have a guy who's not commanding a certain pitch. You can see it early. Sit back, wait, sit on that fastball.
Here's Marcelo Alfonsine, the pitching coach for this team and a member of the DSL Astros coaching staff with the Houston Astros organization in the Dominican Summer League.
See the towels, a little shade.
Arnedo, the manager. He's done a great job with this team.
You're down in that, getting that shot of that bullpen, man, brings back so many memories in a situation like this. Fourth inning. You don't know if you're going to be the next guy up. You're sort of, you know, walking on pins and needles, just waiting for that coach to come running down, say, hey, get going, get loose. And it's going to be up to you. Are you going to be the guy? Are you going to be the reason your team's going on to live it, to fight another day and get a chance to go to the World Baseball Classic?
Orlando Valle steps in. First and second, two gone. First pitch strike to him at 84 miles an hour, 0-1. It is fun getting down to these last 2 days. I mean, we've talked a lot about how bummed we're going to be when this is over, but the drama of these last 2 days, just like it was in Germany, is so pronounced. And especially tonight, with the host nation Panama playing for a return trip potentially to the Classic.
Tyler, I've told this to you, I'll admit this though. You know, after Germany, I went back and straight to a playoff race covering the Mariners, and you know, I was excited, but I was still in World Baseball Classic mode. You know, my head just wasn't there, you know. And like you, I'm going to be, it's going to be tough when this thing's over.
1-1 in on the corner.
It's a long winter until March, let me tell you.
That's the thing. Now we got to sit through the winter. I don't know how I'm going to survive without this WBC drama.
Wow, Mendoza getting some help.
That's a frustrating call for Valle. Down in the count now, 1-2.
And this is where you need to bury that breaking ball.
He tried exactly what he does.
58-footer.
You got to have so much trust in your catcher, too. And for Nakandakari, it was a wild pitch earlier in this game that cost his team a run that he tried to backhand. But he goes down to the butterfly and blocks that one. You made an interesting point the other day. For goaltenders, when you drop down in hockey, you're trying to deflect the puck away.
Right.
It's the exact opposite in baseball. You're trying to do everything to funnel the ball in front of you and keep it close. I hadn't really thought about that in that context. That was a great point.
Yeah, and a couple things here right now. You can see Nicaragua. They are seeing that breaking ball out of his hand. They are seeing that from a mile away. So they're going to be sitting fastball in this situation. Really know where to put him. You don't want to load the bases up. But to your point, too, for Nakandakri, I guarantee you every ball that's down anywhere close to the dirt, he's dropping on those knees, especially after he tried to backhand that ball.
Monster pitch here. Runners moving. 3-2 is line into right field, and it'll hang up enough for Robles to dive and make the catch. He didn't see it well off the bat, but Matias Robles is there to secure the final out of the bottom of the fourth. We are headed to the fifth in a good one in Panama City. Our score is 2-2 for Argentina and Nicaragua. Monster catch to close the bottom of the fourth inning. A diving grab out and right by Matias Robles, who was very relieved.
Just embracing the moment, laying on his back in that right field grass here in the World Baseball Classic. And with the dive, too, making sure he had that thing trapped.
Yeah, I don't know if he saw that off the bat, because you could tell there was kind of a late reaction with that coming out to him. And we made this comment day number one. They recently renovated this stadium here in Panama City. In the backdrop, the blue, white, and red seats. You wonder if it does present some challenges, especially in day games when the ball comes off the bat. It's a white ball with red stitching on a white and red background. And it looked as though Robles may have struggled in picking that up off the bat, but he makes the adjustment and makes a fine catch to strand a pair and send this game into the fifth all tied up. And a bouncing ball off the glove of the reliever Tellez, and that's going to be a leadoff base runner aboard for Argentina.
Now, I tell you what, Argentina, not only today, but these games we've seen them play, they've gotten some really good breaks. And this is a situation where it's off the glove of Junior Tellez, scurries over towards the first baseman. I'll tell you what, you need to capitalize on these situations. And you see the white seats right here, and you mentioned mixed in with the red. Carlos Gomez, it's so funny when you have former players walk out. The first thing he said, he goes, "Oh, look at those white seats, man. That's going to be hard to pick up on line drive." And it's things that I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. You know what I mean? Like remember they still do it, but you get the white towels for the playoffs.
Yes.
I've talked to teammates and it's like, man, the minute I see those white towels, I'm like, oh, it's going to be super difficult to pick up that ball on line drive.
There's a pretty famous play. Oh, good pick over at first, and they got Andres Kim straying too far off the bag.
Yeah, that's a huge, huge out. Don't forget, it's the fifth inning, it's 2-2. You're trying to put together some runs. You'd see both these teams start to manufacture. Good tag. Junior Tellez quick to first base. Look at that. Didn't even come set. Caught the runner flat-footed.
That's the perfect throw, too.
The other thing with this, too, base running, and we're going to see a see him contest this play, but sometimes you get off the bag, the pitch hasn't come set yet, you'll glance over. If the third base coaches have been told this, don't distract that runner the minute they get off. Don't be over there like gesturing, because you pick up the gesture, whatever it is, from the third base coach, and that guy throws over, you are caught flat-footed. I'm going to see if they overturn this one.
Our four-man umpiring crew today: Juan Rodriguez from the Dominican Republic at third, Dane Ponsack and Michael Ulloa from the U.S. and Spain at second and first, and American umpire Mark Stewart behind the plate.
He might be back in there.
That tag comes up the body. It's almost on the right rib cage, which makes you wonder if this hand did slide in.
Yeah, it's tough to see from that angle, but it looks like the prior angle looked like that right hand got in there right before you see any contact with the body.
And again, remember, the call on the field was out at first, so it has to be clear evidence to overturn that call.
And every time you see these replays, it's not the same as what you see in MLB, where they have someone basically, that's their entire job. They're dedicated to be the quote-unquote video guy. And they've got a little room back there. They've got a couple extra cameras. They work on the fly, but these guys are just basically going off gut reaction from the dugout.
One challenge per team up until the 8th inning in these World Baseball Classic games. If you're successful, you keep the challenge. If not, you lose it. After the start of the 8th, you can request umpire reviews, but you cannot automatically initiate a challenge. Here comes the call. Out at first.
Yeah, stick with it. Now, I thought on that replay, I thought that was a good angle to see that hand get in, that right hand get in underneath the glove. Man, big out for Nicaragua in this situation.
Junior Tellez also probably feels pretty good about the fact that that leadoff base runner came on the ball that deflected off his glove. Yeah, that is close.
There is no lonelier feeling when leadoff base runner all of a sudden over there, off the ball, off the glove, just trying to get something moving. Then you get caught flat-footed, taking your attention off Junior Tellez.
So 1 ball and no strikes on Lucas Stallman now. Stallman at the top of the order. A guy who, as we noted, didn't get the start on the first day for Argentina, but came on as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning in place of Julian Pedroso. And since then, he's just been making his climb. Got the start in left field in game number 2 for Argentina in the 9 spot. Got the nod. Same place in the order, same spot defensively against New Zealand on Sunday. And now today, out of the leadoff spot, 2 for 7 in the qualifier coming into the day today. 0 for his first 2 this morning.
Third base umpire. Ask him to switch over the ball. Juan Rodriguez from the DR.
That just changes the entire look of this inning. Leadoff base runner aboard in a tie game. And now, nobody on 1 out. That's a massive, I mean, you look at the margin for error in a game like this, that is a massive pickoff at first. And that's why. Line drive down the left field line, and Stallman's got his 3rd hit of the qualifier. So instead of 1st and 2nd, or 1st and potentially 3rd with nobody out, now it's back to just a runner at first base and 1 gone.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, and not only that, you turn the lineup over back to the top part of your lineup, the guys who make the best contact. Lucas Stallman has just been all over this pitching he's seen in this tournament. Yeah, you talk about what a massive, massive out for Nicaragua. They're getting that pick.
So 1 gone, it brings up Sebastian Garcia. Like Stallman, 0 for his first 2 today, but Stallman aboard on the single at first. 1-0. This Argentina team, man, there is maybe nothing super flashy, super sexy about them. They are just a solid group, and they find themselves tied up yet again in the middle innings of this one. And they have made a business out of coming back in games. They trailed Pakistan 1-0, rallied for a 7-4 win. They trailed New Zealand 1-0, rallied for a 4-1 win. They trailed in this game 2-0. They have drawn back even. 2-2 our score. Line foul down the left field side by Garcia. How good do those freshly painted World Baseball Classic logos look on the first and third base sides today?
Fantastic.
Behind the plate, too, the World Baseball Classic word mark. It is just, there is something that is so inspiring about seeing that international baseball semicircle painted around the plate circle. Just love it. There's that beautiful field. Here, brand new surface here at Estadio Rod Carew. They built over the last few months. Garcia ahead in the count now at 2-1. This was the guy who really had the plate appearance that, to me, flipped the switch on Sunday against New Zealand. Came up, he was 0 for 3, batting in a bases-loaded situation, and he took that hit by pitch and just was so calm that entire plate appearance. And pitch glanced off the arm, trotted up to first base, brought in a run as part of that 4-run inning. There was something about his presence at the plate in that 7th that really felt like, all right, Argentina's got control of this now. 3-1, runner off with a swing and a miss to try to protect him, and a stolen base. Now the ball away into center field, and Stallman headed for third will get there safely. Stolen base and an error charge to Melvin Novoa, and the go-ahead run is 90 feet away with 1 out.
Yeah, can you see how late Garcia was on that? It was basically just a swing through the ball. Yeah, make it a little tougher for the catcher. Throws the ball away now. Let's go back to that pick. All of a sudden, Argentina will essentially be ahead in this game 3-2 right now. But they are in business. 1 out, runner on third, with some of their best contact coming to the plate.
So a big spot on a full count for Garcia and for Tellez. Infield drawn in, 3-2 pitch. A foul at the plate will do it again.
Yeah, he said he just has that calming presence. Not a whole lot of movement in that swing. Kind of short to the ball. He's not going to crush. He's not going to hit the ball off the wall here. But you know what? Put it in play. That's your job right now, is put this ball in play.
3-2 once more, and a swing and a miss. A monster strikeout there for Tellez. 2 gone in the 5th.
Tellez challenging. Garcia, you have to in this situation. Good pitch.
And a visit to the pitcher's mound from Jorge DePaulo, the pitching coach. What's this conversation? It's obviously about the approach to Talevi, who has been so good, but what do you think this conversation is specifically?
Well, exactly that. You know, Talevi's been one of the toughest outs in this Argentinian team. He's hitting 286 already. Already had some big hits. So our situation, look, you've got an open base right here. And usually in this, everyone talks about pitching around. It's not just the automatic, I'm just going to pitch out of the strike zone. You challenge a little bit that 0-0 pitch. And you get 0-1, all right, I'm going to challenge you again. 0-2, I'm going to try and strike you out. But if you slip back 1-0, 2-0, guess what? You're getting the base.
Biggest at bat of the day so far for Argentina. And the task rests on the shoulders of the second baseman out of Salta. Member of the Parma club in the Italian Baseball League. First pitch to him, swing and a miss. And it's 0-1. Our ballpark in Parma hosted the Europe and Africa Olympic qualifiers back in 2019. Back to normal in the Italian Baseball League this year. A handful of guys playing in that league on these 2 rosters. A 1 line back up the middle into center field, and Argentina has its first lead of the day on an RBI single by Ezequiel Talevi. It's 3-2.
You think back to that conversation from that mound visit, maybe that wasn't the case. I am shocked right here. Junior Tellez, he has that big breaking ball, even drops down a little bit. Man, coughs up a fastball. Maybe that's a situation where he thinks, all right, I'll just beat him with this fastball. But Talevi, when you've got a guy hitting third and seeing some of the damage he's done, you're not going to beat him 2 times in a row middle of the plate. Man, Argentina All of a sudden, surprising Nicaragua, rattling that cage a little bit. They're up 3-2 here in the 6th.
Another pick throw over to first. Levy's back in. You know, I made this comment about the Czech Republic when we were in Germany, and it's not to bestow some sort of coronation on anybody here, but Argentina has that team of destiny feel, the way the Czech Republic sort of did. Everything Argentina has done has come up Milhouse for them, to borrow a phrase from season 5 of The Simpsons or so. I mean, it just feels like the gambles and the moves that Argentina has made have largely really worked out for them. They got overwhelmed by Panama, of course, on the second night, but the comeback win over Pakistan, the comeback win over New Zealand, they are just steady. They're constantly there.
Yeah, for sure. And look, we talked about this in the first inning as well.
Fly ball in the air to left. Valle started in, now racing back, and it's over his head and off the wall. Rounding third base and scoring easily is Levy. It's an RBI double for Cipriota and a 4-2 lead in the 5th.
Well, all of a sudden, we talked about how scrappy this team is, their plate discipline, but now showing up with a big extra base hit. You see right here, the left fielder, Valle, having struggled today. You can see him coming in on that ball, figuring out this ball was hit hard. We talked about this in the first inning, Tyler. We talked about if you're in Nicaragua, you can't get complacent in this game thinking you're going to roll over Argentina, because you get to the 6th inning, and this is what you're up against. Now you're down 2-0 against a team that looks really good, making the most of every break they get.
And another pitching change coming here for Nicaragua. So back-to-back run-scoring hits for Ezequiel Televi and Jacinto Cipriota. And those Argentinian fans pretty fired up over on the third base side, as their team is out in front. 2 runs home so far in the 5th, and Nicaragua headed to the bullpen. Former Dodgers and Brewers prospect Leo Crawford onto the pitcher's mound to try to clean up this mess here in the top half of the 5th inning. He inherits a runner in scoring position and 2 already home for Argentina, which has grabbed a 4-2 lead over Nicaragua in game number 7 of this 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier here in Panama City. Back at Estadio Rod Carew, Tyler Mon alongside Ryan Rowland-Smith.
Leo Crawford, you mentioned he's the second appearance in this qualifier. He came in, left on left situation, sack bunt against him.
And this is why he is in the game right now. Back-to-back RBI base hits for Ezequiel Televi and Jacinto Cipriota.
Tell you what, this offense, again, we've talked about, you know, the quality at bats, the plate discipline. Now all of a sudden you get that big blow, that double, that extra base hit. 4-2 right now here in the 5th inning.
A tough day out there in left, too, for Norlando Valle. There was the double down the left field line by the man at the plate right now, Eduardo Zerbruggen, who last inning poked one the other way, and when it bounced, it shot foul out of fair territory and toward foul ground, and Valle kind of overran it, misplayed it. It allowed the second run to score. Talebi would have scored anyway, but Cipriota scored on the back end of it, and then the ball off of Cipriota's bat, Valle started in on it, and it was back over his head.
I mean, that would have been a hard play to make. That ball was hit. That ball was crushed, especially from our angle here. That ball just took off. But you did mention the hesitation in the beginning. You saw that because it kind of took him by surprise a little bit. So don't forget, these outfielders, playing against Argentina and Pakistan, they haven't had a whole lot of reps going back on the ball. They really haven't. Dropping into that left foot and getting back there, especially here in the fifth inning, you're shocked. All of a sudden, you're up against Argentina. You feel like you can roll over this team, but this Nicaragua, this offense just hasn't had a whole lot of big moments. You mentioned, too, only, 4 extra base hits?
Yeah. 4 coming into the day today.
Yeah.
They had one early in this game to drive in one of the 2 runs, an RBI double. Crawford's 2-1 swung on and missed. Sandy Bermudez brought home the first run of this game with an RBI double in the bottom of the second inning to drive in Elmer Reyes. White Britain scored on a wild pitch with Norlando Valle at the plate. But since then, 4 straight scored by Argentina. They are just kind of the definition of a team that you let hang around and they're going to beat you. That's how Argentina has done it to this point. They have been so impressive.
It's a good way to put it.
Rallying for 2 wins in their first 3 games, now out in front here in their 4th. And a swing and a miss as Crawford does the job he was tasked with to get this thing into the bottom of the 5th. Nicaragua, the world's number 15, gonna have to come from behind against the world's number 27, 4-2 through 4.5. Of the 5th inning, 4-2 is our score as Argentina leads Nicaragua, and both of these teams playing against that. Some of the elements here in Panama City. We got this game bumped up a few hours for first pitch to try to play ahead of some rain that we anticipate in the area this afternoon. We've had dry skies all morning so far, and hopefully they will stay that way as we head to the bottom of the 5th in a really good one. And the leadoff man here in the bottom of 5 for Nicaragua is the top man in the lineup, Brandon Layton, who takes the first pitch for a strike. 0-1. 0-2 after he swings and misses there. Everything last inning, as you pointed out, Ryan Rowland-Smith, came with 2 outs for Argentina. They had the runner aboard, Lucas Stallman, with 1 out. But behind that, Talebi's single, Cipriota's double, both coming with 2 outs.
I like how you have to credit me for that.
I did. I didn't want to steal your point.
because you know I've done this plenty of times. I'll throw you under the bus. If you steal my knowledge, I'll let you know about it. That is for sure.
That's fair. Grounder up towards short. Layton retired by his counterpart to Sarah.
And it's about that time in the game, if you're Nicaragua, you're starting to press that panic button. Starting to think, hold on a minute, we're down 2 runs here. Starting to press. It's a tough, tough spot to be in. There's frustration involved. There's just no energy in your dugout. You're looking at each other thinking, how are we down right now 4-2 against a team that we should absolutely own? But on the flip side, Argentina, man, we are learning more and more as we go with what they're all about. Talked about their plate discipline. We've seen plenty of that. Their pitchers throwing strikes, getting ahead in counts, getting in good counts, making big pitches when they have to. And then all of a sudden, now we're seeing some big 2-out hits. Single up the middle, double over the head of Valle, one hopping off the wall.
This is a team that, you know, to borrow a cheesy sports cliche, they have a slow heartbeat.
Right.
They're able to just keep themselves in the moment. Argentina doesn't seem to have been, with the exception of the game against Panama, and that's such a good Panama team on the other side. I mean, I think through everything that we've watched, Panama is the clear-cut favorite to win this whole qualifier. But with the exception of that, as here's a fly ball, well struck out in the air to right field, but Robles with the track on that one to make the catch. This team just doesn't really get overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's a good point. That was a tough one too. Big crowd in here. Game was speeding up. You had that Panama team, and they are good too. We're going to see that tonight. I'm looking forward to watching Brazil-Panama tonight and seeing who's the first team from Panama, from this qualifier, getting a chance to go to the World Baseball Classic. But yeah, you mentioned it. A tough matchup. You've got all that power, that good pitching, some of the speed on the bases. Argentina, we're getting super rattled.
2 gone, bases empty for Chesler Cuthbert. Top third of the order has scuffled today for Nicaragua. If Cuthbert is retired here, they would be a combined 1 for 9 and will have been retired and ordered twice.
Now, I'll tell you what, momentum and energy on a baseball team on the field is a real thing. You can't put it down on paper. When you look at this Nicaragua team, it just simply exists. I've been in that situation before. You're in the dugout as a pitcher even, and your offense just nothing doing, just lazy fly balls all over the place. And you're looking around saying, what is happening right now? Just trying to generate some kind of energy, some momentum, some heartbeat.
Fly ball to center. Backpedaling is Televi, the second baseman, on rushing the center fielder Garcia. 3 up, 3 down goes the top third in the order for Nicaragua. We're headed to the 6th, 4-2 Argentina.
The environment is so festive.
Microphone 1 2 1 2, pack the whole place.
The fans here enjoying what they're seeing at this time.
Marching to the World Baseball Classic.
Top of the 6th inning, we got a surprise in the making, perhaps. 4-2, Argentina, the world's number 27 ranked national team program, out in front of the world's number 15, Nicaragua. And as we head into the top of the 6th, it'll be 6, 7, and 8 for Argentina, looking to build on a 2-run lead. Tyler Maughan, alongside the former big leaguer and Team Australia pitcher Ryan Rowland-Smith. Agustin Teixeira leading things off, and swinging and missing at the first offering from Leo Crawford, 0-1.
Tyler, we're talking about some of that momentum. I was thinking about this during the break. I mean, there's been times from an international standpoint, you know, playing for Team Australia where you just don't have anything going offensively, and you know, being a pitcher down the other end of the dugout. I've thought about this even at the major league level too. You kind of you have that urge where you just want to bring everyone to the front of the dugout like it's Little League and say, hey, everyone bring it in. And just try and do your best, you know, give your best motivational speech or something just to get something going. Because you're just watching it right in front of you just trickle away as the innings go on. I'll tell you what, Leo Crawford, we only saw a little bit of him in the first game. This is 85-86 fastball up in the top of the strike zone. Doesn't move from that spot. You can see that fastball. This is something as a pitcher, you smell it early. You get the feeling like, there's no chance this kid's catching up. And you just climb the ladder, you see the velocity go from 85-86 all of a sudden to 89 on that last pitch.
First pitch there for a strike to Lucas Nakandakri. You know, one of the most interesting things that I think has transpired over the last few years in baseball with the dawn of the analytics revolution is, and it's something that we've talked about a lot, the rise of the elevated fastball. Because even back when you were playing, which is pretty recently, the conventional wisdom was always don't throw up in the zone. Because if you miss, you're going to get rocked.
You got to stay down.
And now the conventional wisdom is it's really hard to hit elevated pitches, especially elevated heat. How has that been, watching that evolve as a former pitcher, to see where guys do it now and aim to do it now?
Yeah, well, first of all, you know, you go back in the day, it was always that situation. Like you said, you know, hey, you know, keep the ball down. I've never seen a ground ball get out of the stadium, and you know, let it roll over the ball. All this kind of stuff. It's not easy to pitch down in the strike zone. Look at this, just dominating with that fastball from Leo Crawford. But just to your point, as you can see, Leo just exposing the top part of that zone, and then on the inside part, yeah. So all of a sudden, you know, we start tracking revolutions per minute, RPMs on the ball. When that technology came in, and people started to realize that there's that correlation of higher RPM, defies gravity, gets above the barrel. +2 with swing paths as well. Back in the day, it was always about swinging down on the ball. The swing path was a little different to what they teach now, where it's that it's called the hitch, and all of a sudden you get into that C, and then the bat is a lot flatter. You watch some of the hitters with that big leg kick and all the hand movement. But all of a sudden, they started realizing that this pitch up in the strike zone, if you're an upper RPM kind of guy, like Leo Crawford right now, just by using the eye test, you can tell 88 miles per hour, you can throw that high RPM pitch. You're talking 2,400, 2,500 RPM above average, defies gravity longer. It is extremely tough. You ask any hitter to get good, solid contact on that pitch. And then they just started exploiting it.
1-1, swung on and missed. You know, it's fascinating, the amount of conversation now about, baseball, it's changing too much, the 3 true outcomes for hitters, blah, blah, blah. Everything in sports is cyclical, and the evolution of how pitchers approach hitters and how hitters approach pitchers on the other side is so fascinating to me. The 1-2 on the way, fouled away.
And the other part as a pitcher, you have to identify what pitch, it's called, what fastball profile do you have. So if you're a below average RPM guy, you pitch down in the zone, because if you don't spin against gravity, it's called the Magnus effect. If you don't spin against gravity and gravity takes the ball, that's where you see the sinking fastball. Therefore, you pitch down in the strike zone. You just don't want to be average. If you sit at that 21, 2200, you have to come up with some other ball behavior to get to have some success in the big leagues. Whether it's a low 3/4 with a different approach angle, not that we're going to dive into the weeds here.
No, this is fascinating.
But some of the different metrics and the ball behavior that you can have. But in regards to fastball up in the strike zone, high RPM, get up in that strike zone. That goes for if you're 16 years old or up. Man, you can get some serious swings and misses at the top of the zone.
You saw a shot of the grounds crew a moment ago behind the tarp on the first base side. It is not yet raining, but there are some menacing looking clouds around this ballpark. Hopefully they will hold off for a few more innings as we work here in the top of the 6th, and that is ball 2. Leo Crawford certainly didn't think so.
Yeah, that's a good fastball. easily outside the strike zone. We see Leo Crawford trying to sell it a little bit.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Robles. Had a big catch in right field earlier in this game. 2-2 is flared first base side, and a leaping grab over there by Chesler Cuthbert with some weird tail to it. He's able to snare it for the out, and 3 up, 3 down goes Argentina for the 3rd time today. We head to the bottom of the 6th. 4-2, Argentina in the lead. Chesler Cuthbert showing off the hops first base side to snare a little looping liner, and Leo Crawford very grateful for it.
There's some energy. Now we're talking. Maybe that was it. Get that spark going. Chesler Cuthbert, man, he was a significant part of the Royals 2016, 128 games. Mike Moustakas had to sit out all of a sudden. Former big leaguer. Got some playing time. Tell you what, he wants his team to get moving, so get back on that world stage come March.
But the opportunities are running out for Nicaragua. Certainly still very close in this game, trailing by just 2, but it has been a quiet effort. They are being out hit in this game 5-4. They've committed the game's only error, and they go to work here in the bottom of the 6th inning with the middle third of the order. Elmer Reyes leading things off. Cleanup hitter and second baseman.
Yeah, if you've been listening the last couple nights and you've been tuning in, we talked about Germany. We didn't have that upset yet to the last day.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the upset? Is this going to be Argentina beating Nicaragua to get through?
And this certainly would be. I mean, it's not to sell Argentina short, but Nicaragua would be the heavy favorite in this matchup. A team chock full of former pro players and big leaguers, and for Argentina, guys who do not have nearly that same experience playing in their first qualifier for the World Baseball Classic.
Right, and they know that too. I mean, talking to some of the people from Argentina, they know what they're up against. They're well aware of some of the competition. They lost 5 key players. Their roster is short. You can see just trying to get something moving on a Tuesday afternoon, something moving offensively.
You know, there's got to be something else to be said. We're talking about how frustrating it can be, the lack of energy in a dugout when you're the losing team, especially when you would be the favorite, as Reyes bounces this one over to third. Andres Kim charging, gloving, firing, and he pulls the first baseman Cipriota off the bag, and a leadoff base runner aboard for Nicaragua in the 6th.
Yeah, just glancing down that dugout. We didn't get a shot of it, but we see a play like this, and you just see blue jerseys just springing out of that dugout. It's amazing. Little infield single, little misplay, all of a sudden the energy goes through the roof.
You know, and what I was going to say is on the other side, now it's a sort of twofold thing. On the one hand, if you're Argentina, you're playing loose and free because you're the underdog in this circumstance. You don't have the expectations of the pressure necessarily, and there's something to be said for that. The flip side of that coin is, as we saw with New Zealand the other night, Do you get too tight in the big moments? And we haven't seen that happen yet, but a leadoff base runner aboard now for Nicaragua. This is the second time today they put a leadoff man on. And the first time they did was the second inning when they scored 2 runs, the first 2 of this game.
Man, you can see too, Nicaragua sticking with Mendoza right now, pitching a situation. We talk about bullpen management. You got a guy, you got a team by the throat. Whoa, just missing.
Looked pretty good.
Yeah. Talking about got one of your best arms out there, you let it ride, let it roll. Argentinian bullpen's starting to turn over right now.
Jose Mendoza, who came on in the 4th. 3 balls and a strike now, and Dwight Britton out of the 5 spot.
And just to your point, Tyler, you talked about when you have that lead, do you tighten up? Do you get too caught up in the moment? Are you feeling that momentum out of that first base dugout? Right now, this guy, Mendoza, pitching, he can feel it. He's trying to pitch around contact a little bit. You can see him start to nibble, getting bad counts.
3-1 fouled away, counts full.
Situation right here. This is that you get that foul ball, so you get that extra breath. Try and catch yourself a little bit. Dig in the back of that mound, and then you off that rubber, and all of a sudden you just say, all right, I'm just going to keep these knuckles on top of this breaking ball, get that big punch out.
Here's the 3-2 runner off from first, bounce right back to the mound, off of Mendoza, who will get the out. And now we got to make sure that Jose Mendoza is okay, and he immediately turns to the dugout to say he's fine. Ooh. Couldn't tell where that got him. Is that on the right shoulder? They will get a visit out there from Tyler Brook, a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates training staff in that organization, to check on Jose Mendoza.
Kind of surprised him a little bit. Big pitch there right there. Obviously not getting the double play.
It's also tough too when you're a player or a manager or a trainer, because the adrenaline is flowing in that moment. So of course you're going to turn and look and say, nah, I'm fine.
Right.
But 30 seconds later, maybe you realize that it caught you in a place where it's not feeling too good.
Yeah, but a big moment like this, and he has pitched so well, you do not want to come out of this game. Give me all that adrenaline, inject it into me right now. I need it, I want it. Get through this inning. You see the bullpen turning over.
You think Ryan's saying that about the pitcher. That's actually just him. He wants that adrenaline up here in the booth. He's gonna fly through this inning with that. That's not a hypothetical. It's a literal thing. I feel like we're running all right on this morning ball game energy today. We're actually
a good game.
Early afternoon now, 12:10 p.m. Again, we were scheduled to start this game originally at 1 o'clock. A little change in the schedule today due to weather. And we have got a good one. 4-2, tying run at the plate for Nicaragua here in the bottom of the 6th. And the first pitch to Melvin Novoa is there for a strike. Coming into the day today, Novoa was one of the 2 home runs and one of the now 5 extra base hits in this qualifier for Nicaragua. Batting in a massive spot with his team down 2. Take strike 2.
Pitch clip in the top of the strike zone. Novoa doesn't think so.
Novoa, another guy who spent this past season in the Italian Baseball League. He played with Nettuno. Waits the 0-2. 1-2.
Man, good job to lay off that pitch. You just got a breaking ball up in the zone that you didn't agree with. You could get that feeling like, oh man, okay, he's going to open up the top part of this strike zone, right? He gets a fastball, able to lay off it.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Here comes Mendoza. Drive into left. Moving back on it is Stallman at the wall. It's off the wall. Rounding third. Here comes Reyes to score. An RBI double for Melvin Novoa. It's a 1-run game in the 6th.
And gets that breaking ball, a pitch he can absolutely handle. Mendoza has been shaky with that pitch. He's landed a couple times, but with 2 strikes, you cannot be in the strike zone with that pitch. Man, good piece of hitting, Novoa. Man, we've seen him come up some big hits, a home run a couple nights ago. Línea off the Copa Airlines sign out there in left field. All of a sudden, Nicaragua is in business. You can feel that momentum start to shift over towards first base.
Here comes Nicaragua in the 6th. Tying run in scoring position now. And Milcar Perez at the plate. First pitch is strike 1. Nicaragua came into this game with just 4 extra base hits in their first 2 contests. They got a couple of those here today. And Perez takes a strike to make it 0-2. Perez singled his last time up, laced one into center field with 2 gone in the 4th. Here's the 0-2 pitch to him. Line drive left field, that's gonna get down. Rounding third is Novoa, he'll get the wave in. The throw from Stallman is up the line. It's a tie game in the 6th on the RBI base hit by Perez.
And that dugout just exploded. All of a sudden, tying this game up 4-4. Man, Mendoza has just ran out of solutions right now. This is a fastball, middle of the plate. Good piece of hit too, just not trying to do a whole lot. You see Storm, and this is a situation you have to hit that cut, or at least throw through it. Throw well offline. Nicaragua has woken up.
That's going to do it for the right-hander, Jose Mendoza, as his manager, Rolando Arnedo, is out from the third base dugout to go get him. And this game has wildly changed its tone here in the bottom of the 6th. 1 out, the go-ahead run in scoring position for Nicaragua, and Argentina is headed to the bullpen. A seesaw affair that sees us all level once more. 4-4 our score. Pitching change for Argentina in the 6th. Right-hander Franco Perez takes over on the pitcher's mound for Argentina as we move along here in the bottom of the 6th, and he inherits a dicey spot. 2 runs already home for Nicaragua. Momentum has firmly shifted to that first base dugout, and with the potential go-ahead run in scoring position, he gets set to face Sandy Bermudez. Perez's first offering is a breaking pitch in for strike 1. Bermudez 1 for 1 with a walk and an RBI double today. This is the biggest spot in this game so far. 2 runs home for Nicaragua. Their fans finally with something to cheer about. 0-1.
And went chasing pitch well outside the strike zone. Yeah, he said it, inheriting a dicey spot right here, runner on second, 1 out. Also, you got some serious energy on that Nicaraguan team. You can hear it, you can feel it.
Yeah, it is very noticeable how much the dugout chatter is picked up in this inning. The 0-2 foul to the plate. No balls and 2 strikes on Bermudez. 3 for 5 in the qualifier. A couple of walks, 2 runs batted in, trying to add a third. The 0-2 to left field, base hit. Up on it quickly is Stallman, getting the wave around third. Perez, the throw cut off, and they will get not only the run scored, but now Bermudez digging for third on the errant throw. He gets a wave around third base, and the throw is in time to get him for the second out. A chaotic play, but Nicaragua takes the lead, and it is 5-4 in a 3-run 6th.
I mean, he just kept running, went straight through the stop sign at third base. We saw this with Argentina against Panama. All of a sudden, the game sped up a little bit, and their defense started to go on them. This is a big base hit. 0-2 count, gets that hanging slider, puts that ball in the left field. Yeah, right here, look at this. We're talking about the game just hits another level of speed for you all of a sudden. 5-4 in Nicaragua. What about that base running? Just kept moving.
I believe, if I've got this right, that play goes as a single for Bermudez.
Don't even bother.
He advances to second on a throw, goes to third on an error charge to the third baseman, Andres Kim, and then he's thrown out by, actually it's listed on the live stats now as the center fielder Garcia, who put that throw in. I thought it was Robles, but either way, it's an RBI single. That is a crazy play, and it gives Nicaragua the lead as the rain starts to fall here in Panama City.
Yeah, and you look at that play too. I mean, we're laughing about the base running, but right now he should be standing up on third base with 1 out. You haven't run away with this game. We know Argentina are not going to go away anytime soon. Still got 3 innings to go. 3 more chances. Only down by a run. Is that the play? I feel like there's been so many moments in this game that are turning points. That's just another one of them. If Argentina come back, tie this game up, or go ahead, might be regretting that. Ultra aggressive base running around third base.
1-2 pitch. And you can see as Bermudez got tagged out, immediately put his hands on his hips. He's heaving, breathing, walking back to the dugout. That was not what Bermudez expected to be doing on that line drive single to left, be flying around the bases and trying to score on a Little League home run. 2-2. How to play.
Yeah, you can take, first of all, he's dead to rights at second base. No chance. Now, this is a situation where you get a little too caught up in some of the energy. You should be standing at third. You don't quite see the third base coach right there, but he was doing this and basically just kind of put his hands up in the air as if to say, he's giving the stop sign. And he's like, oh, well, I guess you're not going to respect that goal. Off he went.
I think there might have been a little confusion over there at first, too, because initially when I looked down, it appeared as though Yadaroa, who is the third base coach for Nicaragua, was given the wave and then threw the hands up late.
Yeah.
And for Bermudez in that spot, like, what are you going to do? You know, you're already trucking around third. You made it that far. You might as well take your chances. But that potentially is a big out, because right now you're looking at a circumstance where you may have the guy at third with 1 gone, and instead that which would have scored him turns out into a 2-out single for Norlando Valle out of the 9 spot.
Yeah, part of this is to get caught up in the moment. You hear your dugout screaming. Everyone's fired up, taking the lead.
From the 3rd through the 5th innings, Nicaragua had 2 singles and 1 walk. This inning, they've got 5 hits, including a double. They've scored 3 times. Did have an out on the base pass. We'll get a pinch runner over at first base as Luis Montealto will take over for Norlando Valle.
It was like Forrest Gump over there at third base. Just kept going.
And with the rain falling now, this really does change everything about this game, because if you are Nicaragua, now you're looking at, can we get this thing through the top of the ninth and finish it off?
Right.
Now, obviously, we've got a ways to go before we get there, and hopefully this rain stays light enough that we can play through it. But if you're looking at a circumstance where the home team's trailing, you're going to have to go through the bottom of the ninth. That feels like a much bigger task for Nicaragua. Runner off with a pitch, throw down to second, on target and in time. What a throw by Lucas Nakandakari, who backhands a ball out of the zone and gets the throw there in time to nab Norlando Valle. We are headed to the top of the seventh. Nicaragua has taken the lead, 5-4 our score here in Panama City. Panama City, unfortunately, as you can see behind us, the tarp being rolled onto the field here at Estadio Rod Carew, which is never fun, and especially isn't fun in a fantastic baseball game, which is what we've got today. A 5-4 lead here as we were slated ahead to the top of the seventh inning, and instead we're headed into a rain delay. Alongside former Major Leaguer and Team Australia pitcher Ryan Rowland-Smith, my name is Tyler Mont. Ryan, Argentina had the lead throughout most of this game. Now a very different looking game, and that's monster for Nicaragua. 3 runs in the bottom of the 6th. They've got the lead as we head into the rain delay. Who knows what happens with the delay, but that's huge.
It really is. I mean, you're looking at the top pulled out. You want to go into these situations with the lead, because if for some reason that they can't continue this game because of the rain, let's not forget, this is a situation too where these teams are coming from all over the world, so you can't just pick this up in a couple days or whatever, or delay. You just simply can't do that. So it's going to force the issue. But man, there's so many moments throughout the first 6 innings that we talked about turning points, and some of the miscues as well. You're talking about the defensive miscues, the base running. If you win this game, it's all forgotten. But if you're the loser of this one, especially if they finish this one early, you're going to have some regretful, some hard nights to get to sleep thinking about some of those moments.
Frustrating thing, I think, at the moment for Argentina is that the rain was coming down in buckets a moment ago, and it has nearly stopped now. But obviously, this is a thing where we've got meteorologists and tournament personnel who are monitoring the weather situation and expecting a cell to come through. So we are officially in a rain delay, a game that we got started early today, and we have made it through 6 innings. And as we move into the 7th, a rain delay here at Estadio Rod Carew. We'll keep you updated on what's going on. 5-4, Nicaragua with the lead over Argentina in a delay from Panama. Well, we got a little nervous when the tarp came out just a little while ago, but pulled off the field. We are set to resume play for game number 7 of the 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier from here in Panama. And we got nervous because we are locked in a good one. Welcome back into Estadio Rod Carew. Tyler Mon, Ryan Roland Smith. Ryan, a 5-4 lead right now for Nicaragua as we head to the 7th. How much does this play with momentum? Nicaragua had fully grabbed momentum in this game. Argentina now coming to the plate after about a half-hour delay.
Oh, well, you could see how frustrated Argentina were, because if this is a situation where the rain keeps coming down, all of a sudden, you know, you have to make that decision. Do you call it, obviously, because you got the game at 8 o'clock at night? But I will say this. They got the tarp on. They got it off. We will resume play. I think Nicaragua still holds some of that momentum for sure.
This thing has been such a back-and-forth battle throughout. Nicaragua took a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the second. Argentina responded with 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, before Nicaragua rallied for 3 in the bottom of the 6th inning on 5 hits in that inning. They only had 4 the entire game prior to it. And as we head into the top of the 7th, we are ready to get back rolling here with the leadoff man for Nicaragua stepping into the batter's box. It's the third baseman, Andres Kim, as we wait to get the music turned off from upstairs before we can resume play. Not sure if the music attendant is present in the press box to cut the music. As we're awaiting pitch number 1 to Andres Kim. It's still the left-hander Leo Crawford who is out there for this top half of the 7th inning. There we go.
There you go. I was enjoying that. Look that up on Spotify.
Finally ready to get rolling as Crawford into his windup deals the first pitch after this delay, and we get back to it at 12:50. So a rain delay of just 26 minutes. And, you know, you mentioned, Ryan, as we went into that delay, Rolando Arnedo was frustrated. The Argentinian manager came out of that third base dugout and was talking with some tournament personnel because it was pounding rain for a moment. And then as soon as the tarp went on the field, the rain got lighter. And the thing that's difficult is we're, you know, obviously in Central America during a rainy season, you don't want to gamble and try to play through something that's just going to be disastrous rain-wise. So you make the call of putting the tarp on the field, and then, of course, the rain quiets down a few minutes later. And a check swing able to hold up there. Kim will get another look here at a 2-strike offering.
Yeah, it's much tougher to make those calls because we do know about some of the time constraints. Not only, obviously, the game at 8 o'clock, but these are teams that have traveled from all over the world. You can't just push this back a couple days. You have to get these games in. And could you imagine, too, let's say hypothetically this rain just kept pounding down all afternoon, and then situation. Now, I'm not saying they, you know, we're lucky to be, you know, back playing, but 6 innings in, you're Argentina, you're this close, you're a run away from Nicaragua, upsetting this team, and then they call it due to rain. Oh, man, that would be heartbreaking.
Yeah, very happy to be getting this one back resumed, because playing it out on the field in a game that has been this good is very much what we would prefer compared to the rain. Hard to believe that we are down to our final just 2+ games of this World Baseball Classic qualifier stint, as a bouncing ball over to third. Andres Kim will be retired by his counterpart, Milcar Perez. 1 up, 1 down.
That's a big out. Now, it just seems like a, you know, weak ground ball and throw to first base. But you think about the momentum shift. You had the rain delay. All of a sudden, you have a chance to really bury some of the good vibes out of the Argentinian dugout they had early on in this game. I'll tell you what, Leo Crawford right now looks absolutely dialed in.
Crawford, the, as noted, former Dodgers prospect. A guy who reached the AA level. Pitched with the Tulsa Drillers in the Texas League. Traded to the Milwaukee Brewers organization in December of 2020. Also pitched at AA in that organization with the Biloxi Shuckers of the Southern League in 2021. He's going a little nasty Nestor look, trying to throw off some timing. The old Johnny Cueto.
Hey, he's still pitching.
He is.
He had a good year this year.
Amazing.
I can't believe he was sticking just out there floating around during spring training. Like, someone pick him up.
Here's the 1-1. 2-1. You ever do the freaky delivery, trying to throw guys off?
I tried it. I tried, you know, Yeah, back then, and I'll say back then like I'm some dinosaur, but yeah, a couple of years ago it was kind of like no one does that. Now you see it; it's pretty prevalent now, throwing off that timing. And part of that is, we talked about obviously pitching and some of the hitters responding and with bigger leg kicks. And
that ball stayed fair. That ball is gone. Lucas Stallman goes down the right field line, but that came off the bat. It looked like it was going to slice well foul, and it stays fair and hooks around the foul pole, and this is a tie game in the 7th.
That ball stayed fair. We're up in the booth thinking that is well foul. But we'll still have to chat. Look at this. Lucas Stallman, you mentioned it, wasn't even in the lineup the first game. Then he was batting 9th, so he got a chance to wiggle into that lineup after a couple of good at-bats. And now he's just tied it up for Argentina. We've talked about so many different turning points in this game. Now all of a sudden the Oppo power from the leadoff hitter, Boston College.
We got a chance to talk to Lucas's mom and his sister the other night after the first game for their team back on Friday, and now a shot in the air to center field that'll chase Bernard to the alleyway to make the catch. But when that thing came off the bat, I mean, that looked like, from a right-handed hitter, the way he drove it down the line, you're expecting that ball's going to have a lot of spin and a lot of tail to it. It's going to slice foul. And somehow that just went straight down the line and stayed fair. And that's going to bring an end to the day for Leo Crawford as he retires Sebastian Garcia. And Nicaragua will head to the bullpen. Otherwise, brilliant work from Leo Crawford, but he gives up the game-tying shot. Moving along in the top of the 7th, a 5-5 game. Leo Crawford retired 6 of the 7 batters that he faced, but the one he did not was Lucas Stallman, who goes yard down the right field line with an opposite solo homer here in the 7th and gets this game all tied up again. 5-5 our score as we continue along from Panama City's Estadio Nacional Rod Carew. Tyler Mon, Ryan Roland Smith in a game that just will not quit. Argentina a lead of 2-0. For Nicaragua, they rallied, put a 4-2 lead up on the board before Nicaragua responded with 3 to take the advantage back at 5-4. And now this game all level again, 5-5. 6 hits for Argentina, 9 for Nicaragua. Big swing and a miss there to put the count at a ball and 2 strikes.
Man, Lucas Stallman, I mean, I think he was surprised too. He hit that ball. I mean, he wasn't even leaving the box.
Yeah.
And we were going off his reaction, so we just kept chatting away, thinking that ball was foul.
Swinging a bouncer back up the middle. That'll escape into center field. And Ezequiel Televi greets Berman Espinoza with a 2-out single. It's just so rare that you see a ball leave a right-handed hitter's bat, go to the opposite field, and not slice. I mean, that thing did not move at all. That was just a straight shot down the line.
Yeah, and Lucas Storm is not the biggest guy either. You know, obviously playing college ball. He's still young. But that's some juice, man, in that bat. Anytime you can hit a ball like that right to right field, you mentioned the fact that when you backspin that ball the way he did with that good swing, you won't get that slicing factor off the bat. You need some serious hand speed to get into that bat because remember, you're catching that ball later. So, tell you what, Lucas Storman, man, he's opened some eyes, I guarantee you, not only for his coaches back home, but beyond.
Pitch just off the outside part of the plate. Lucas Stallman, throughout his entire collegiate career, has hit 3 home runs for Boston College in 87 games. And he comes through here on the biggest stage on which he has played to get this game even in the 7th. What a game.
And by the way, too, those 3 home runs with an aluminum bat. You think about that. I guarantee you, I mean, I'm sure he's played, you know, summer ball somewhere. They obviously use wooden bats, but man.
This has been a wild one. And it continues to be so as we are tied up again here in the 7th. Runner off from first. Throw down to second base is in time to get Ezekiel Televi, a caught stealing as Melvin Novoa cuts him down at second. We are headed into the stretch in a wild one in Panama City. Our score through 6.5. Argentina and Nicaragua tied up at 5-5. Ticketed for the bottom of the 7th inning in Panama. Our score is once again even 5-5 between Argentina and Nicaragua in a game that is turning into, pardon the pun, a classic as we head for the bottom of 7. 5 runs, 7 hits, 1 error for Argentina. 5 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for Nicaragua. You like that?
I do. Okay. How long have you been waiting to throw that one out there?
I've been waiting for a game that fits the title.
Fair enough.
I feel like this is a classic. World Baseball Classic affair.
You must have been close in Germany.
Yeah, I think I used it once in Germany.
Oh, okay, I must have.
I do think I used it.
I wasn't listening.
Probably for that final game, as the first pitch of the bottom of the 7th inning runs in on Brandon Leighton and plunks him, and it's a leadoff base runner for Nicaragua, which has put a leadoff man on twice before and scored both of them.
Yeah, this isn't good. Argentina, all of a sudden, you're tied up. Need to start throwing strikes. It's getting late. That 1 run is everything, as we have seen in this game. Can't just give away base runners.
That is the first player hit by a pitch on the Nicaragua side today, the 3rd for the game. And now a bunt down first base side. That'll trickle foul. So Isaac Bernard trying to advance the leadoff man into scoring position. We talked a lot in Germany and here about how the international game forces you to play a very different brand of baseball. In a regular season baseball game in the major leagues or minor leagues in the U.S., you're not going to see a two-hole hitter bunting with nobody out after a leadoff man reaches, but it's very different in international ball. Here comes the 0-1 on the way to Bernard. Squares, pops it up, 1 out.
And that's one of the reasons why, too. It's obviously get the runner into scoring position, but you have to make sure you get this ball down. If you're unsure about it, pull the bat back. Tell your coach, hey, it ain't me.
So now you waste that out, and it brings up Cheslor Cuthbert, the first baseman. Cuthbert 1 for 3 today, single through the left side in the 3rd inning. He also had a big catch out in the field on a flare that was threatening to go over his head for the final out of the top of the 6th. And that one's off the glove of Nakandakari, and that's going to spring Leighton first to second. He's in scoring position, has the potential go-ahead run.
And just like that, you get a break. You get a situation where you can't get the bunt down. And all of a sudden, a wild pitch.
So 1 out, potential go-ahead run in scoring position. One 0 pitch, misses as well. 2 balls and no strikes. We've discussed, strike zones and complaints from players through pretty much every game. I mean, that's always going to be a storyline of baseball.
For sure.
Do you feel like this zone has at least been consistent today from Mark Stewart, or has it shifted a little bit?
I think it's been consistent. I just think there's big moments in the game, and look, I'm all for human umpiring. I hope they continue with it. To be honest with you. I hope they implement some of the technology. I think there's a win-win situation. But when there's big moments in the game, big counts, where all of a sudden it completely shifts because you're unable to have that consistency, then there has been a couple times throughout this game where all of a sudden it's shifted to 2 strikes when the hitter should have a better count. So, look, I think it's been consistent. There's little moments. You just don't want to make the difference in the game.
Two balls and 2 strikes on Cuthbert. Batting in a much different looking AB now after the wild pitch pushed Leighton from first to second. Two. On the ground, and past Andres Kim and out into left field. That thing was stung so hard. Kim tried to get his body in front of it and just kind of froze at the last second. And it's 1st and 3rd now with 1 out.
Look, that ball was hit hard, took a tricky hop. But again, just adding base runs. The other thing it does as well is to tap into that Argentinian bullpen. We talked about this a ton in Germany. We have talked about this in Panama. A big factor when you are a team like Argentina, you're down five guys. A couple of them are pitchers. You just don't have the depth in the bullpen.
So now, as we have said, I believe 3 times over the last 3 innings, probably the biggest at bat of this game. Zelmer Reyes steps in, 1st and 3rd, 1 out. That is the 10th hit of the game as that went ruled a single. That ball, we don't have the exit velocity, but it was certainly considerable coming off the bat of Cuthbert. First pitch on the way to Reyes, bends down for ball 1. One up. Play it. First base side. Cipriota giving chase. Got it on the track.
Big out right there. How many times have we said that? These innings, momentum's shifting back and forth. Argentina, they keep fighting. All these outs are so crucial.
So 2 gone now, and it's Dwight Britton at the plate. Britton scored the second run of this game for Nicaragua back in the second. He singled through the left side, went to third on the RBI double by Sandy Bermudez, came home on a wild pitch. Here he bats in the seventh. Runners at the corners, 2 gone. And he takes the first pitch for a strike.
You know, we saw this going back to Germany, Czech Republic, playing against the home team, Germany. We talked about young Kovala, the 18-year-old pitcher who's got off to Georgia Tech next year. He had that big moment. He wiggled out of an inning. You're like, okay, how many of these do you have?
Broad center field, a base hit. Nicaragua is back in front on the RBI single by Dwight Britton.
Man, we talk about this as pitchers, and we talked about, like I said, Kovala all of a sudden wiggled out of an inning. Then all of a sudden he was able to get out of another inning and another inning. As a pitcher, you only have so many big pitches in your arsenal that you can dig deep for. All of a sudden, Nicaragua just getting it done here in the 7th inning.
And that will spell the end of the afternoon for Franco Perez, who came on last inning and was able to get the final out of that frame. But here in the 7th, he falters with 2 gone. We are moving along in the bottom of the 7th. Nicaragua back out in front, 6-5. This is just the game that will not quit. An RBI single for Dwight Britton back up the middle. Nicaragua, which took the lead in the bottom of the 6th inning, saw Argentina tie it on Lucas Stallman's homer in the top of the 7th, has now battled back to regain the advantage. 6-5 as we keep on rolling here in the bottom of 7. This game is exhausting for us. I can't imagine what it's like in those dugouts as Kevin Riello takes over. First pitch on the way from Riello to the 6-hole hitter, Melvin Novoa, is there for a strike. It was Novoa who came through last inning to give Nicaragua a 3-2 lead with an RBI double to left field. You can hear the fans on that first base side, the Vamos Nicaragua, from sparse but vocal fan base. Obviously a game that gets rolling at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. A little bit of a schedule change for everybody, but man, they are certainly into it. 1-1 pitch is fouled at the plate, 1-2.
We saw Riello pitching against Panama a couple days ago. Inning in the 3rd, 5 hits, 3 runs. Gave up a home run. Back against the wall right now, 2 outs.
Third reliever of this game for Argentina. Nicaragua has used the same on the other side. 1-2. Fouled off the foot of Lucas Nakandakari, who will take a moment to compose himself. Oof. Into feel good.
Yeah, it's funny, Tyler. We were talking early in this game. Is this the biggest at bat? Is this the biggest play? It's just continual, just one layer on top of the next. Nakandakri taking one.
Yeah, I thought that was off the foot. That was a direct shot off the knee. This is a pretty incredible story, this Argentina team, as this is a baseball nation that just saw its professional league start 5 years ago. There's a shot fouled on the left field line. I mean, for Nicaragua, they've been playing baseball in that country, as we noted in our country profile a while ago, since the 1880s. And originally had a professional league start in 1956. It shut down in 1967, but it was revived in 2004. So they're coming up on 20 years of the resurrection of the Nicaraguan professional league. But for Argentina, this is a country in its baseball infancy, and they are here playing the world's number 15 all the way to the wire in a game that will determine the World Baseball Classic futures in 2023 for both of these nations. 6 runs, 11 hits, 1 error now for Nicaragua. 5 runs, 7 hits, 1 error for Argentina. 1-2, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Nicaragua, a nation that narrowly missed out on a medal in the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta. They lost to the United States in the bronze medal game. They won bronze in the 2019 Pan Am Games in Lima, Peru. 2-2. We'll do it again.
Yeah, the other thing to factor in as well for Argentina, it's so spread out, the country. You know, when you look at the geographically speaking, it's tough when you are trying to build baseball, and all of a sudden you've got that small baseball population. You're trying to bring everyone together. And it's one of the challenges growing up, even in Australia. I remember having kids from all over the country spread out, the talent all spread out.
That's a really good point, because we talked so much about how the Czech Republic has been able to build something really impressive. And one thing that is a big advantage for them is the small geographic footprint of that country. When you build a good facility in Prague, for example, or in, you know, Brno or wherever it is, it's much easier for athletes from around the country to get there than it is, you know, if you're in a small town all the way across the country. In Argentina, as a flare out in the air to left field, moving out the shortstop. Teixeira is there to make the grab and retire the side here in the 7th. Kevin Riello gets the final out, but Chesler Cuthbert and his teammates coming through back in front. Well, we were talking last half inning about the relatively young history of baseball in Argentina. Just 5 years ago, that league was started in Argentina. They participated in the Pan Am Games the same year, but 6-time champs of South American baseball. They have had a dawn of a new golden era since the start of this millennium, but not a big leaguer from that country as of yet. And certainly events like this are part of the thing that lay the foundation, the groundwork for eventually that first major leaguer to come along. First pitch swinging, foul back to the screen by the leadoff man here in the top of the 8th inning. Jacinto Cipriota getting things started for his team. He is 1 for 2 today with a walk, a run scored, and an RBI double. It is still Berman Espinoza out there. Espinoza was able to get the final out of that 7th inning, although it was really due to Melvin Novoa. Espinoza gave up a single back up the middle to Ezekiel Televi, and Novoa caught him stealing.
You asked about the strike calling. Is it consistent? That's an example I'm talking about right there. 1-1 count especially. They're the, what you call a swing count. You can go 1-2 or 2-1. Puts you on the back foot when all of a sudden a ball like that gets called a strike.
This is just the start of a packed day of baseball here at Estadio Rod Carew. Coming up at 8 o'clock tonight, we will award our first World Baseball Classic 2023 trip to either Panama, the host nation, or Brazil, which has been really impressive through its first couple of wins here in Panama City. 8 o'clock scheduled first pitch for that one. Ryan and I will be right back here on WorldBaseballClassic.com, MLB.com, Facebook, YouTube. And Cipriota awaits a full count offering and skies it into the Nicaragua bullpen.
6-5. Were you predicting this, Tyler?
I had no
let's
idea
get real here.
what to expect from this game.
Right, and you know, you see the scrappiness from Argentina. You see how they went down big to Panama. They looked overmatched. Then they had that come from behind win from New Zealand.
Fly ball in the air to right.
I mean, they're right in this game.
It's just the resilience of this team that has really stood out most. That catch made out there by Bermudez. And we will get a pitching change here as the right-hander Berman Espinoza faces only 2. And does his job. Gets the leadoff out here in the 8th. And we move along. Nicaragua headed to the bullpen. We'll tell you about the new arm when we return. Right-handed reliever Carlos Teller is the latest into the game for Nicaragua as Sandor Guido and his coaching staff try to piecemeal this thing across the line as we move along here in the top of the 8th. A wild game that sees Nicaragua leading 6-5 here in the 8th. But if there is one thing that this squad from Argentina has shown, it has been a whole lot of resilience over the first few days of this 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier. Back in Panama City alongside the former big leaguer Ryan Rowland-Smith, my name is Tyler Mon. One out, base is empty for Eduardo Zerbergen, the designated hitter, who is 1 for 2 today with an RBI double back in the 4th. He also walked in the 2nd. Grounds one back up the middle, and that'll scoot through for a base hit.
A base hit getting through, kind of trickling through, a 20 hopper up through the middle. Now, one thing with Carlos Teller coming in for Nicaragua, pitched a little bit in Mexico, 2018, 2019. Didn't have a whole lot of success. One reason is because of the command. Walked a bunch of hitters. I'm talking about Argentina, how patient they are, but that'll be it for Carlos Teller. Make another change here.
As you can tell, no 3-batter minimum here in the World Baseball Classic qualifier, and Sandor Guido is going to go to his bullpen again. We'll move along. 6-5, Nicaragua leads it in the 8th. Well, as we noted before the break, no 3-batter minimum for this World Baseball Classic qualifier. Here are some of the rules and regulations adopted and not adopted for this qualifying round. We do have video review, as we have seen today. We do have the designated hitter, as we have seen today. But no 3-batter minimum, no mound visit limitation. And with 3 batters having come to the plate in this inning, we are now on our 3rd pitcher of the inning as Raniel Raudes takes over after the 1-out single by Eduardo Zerbergen chased Carlos Teller. Right-hander's first pitch is high to the 6-hole hitter, Agustin Teixeira. It's 1-0. Raudes, born in Granada, formerly a Boston Red Sox prospect. He underwent Tommy John surgery in 2019 and missed all of that season. And here he is back on a big stage, working with a runner at first. 2-0.
Yeah, he talked about doing all these matchups. Took him a little longer today. Stuck with some of his guys a little longer. You have to, knowing that you don't want to burn through your bullpen before tomorrow, if you get that far.
Raudes has had a long and difficult few years after missing a lot of time in 2018 with right elbow inflammation. He had Tommy John, as we mentioned, in 2019. During the canceled 2020 season, there was no minor league baseball season in 2020. He suffered from a bacterial infection that caused him to lose over 40 pounds. Runner out from first, swinging a foul. He attempted to come back in Nicaragua that year, but was unable to do so due to injury. Then during the 2021 season, when he was in the Red Sox organization, he was forced to leave that system and return home to Nicaragua while dealing with some personal matters. Had a few relief outings in the winter of 2021, but was released beginning of July of this year by the Red Sox. He latched on in the Independent League, or in the Atlantic League and Independent League, a partner league of Major League Baseball with the York Revolution. And he was great out of the bullpen in that circuit. 29 2/3 innings over 28 appearances and an ERA at 1.82. And he gets a strikeout of Teixeira here for out number 2 in the inning.
Yeah, you can see that good fastball. You mentioned being a big prospect with the Red Sox in the last couple of years. It's been a little bit of a bumpy road, but we talk about this a lot. Some of these Nicaraguan pitchers, these Panamanian pitchers who are out of affiliated baseball, getting a chance on this world stage and beyond. If you're talking about March, getting the chance to be in front of scouts around different countries around the world.
So that brings up Lucas Nakandakari 0 for 2. A couple of strikeouts, and he was hit by a pitch today. First offering to him, therefore a strike. You can see that top end velocity isn't necessarily where we've seen a lot of guys into the low to mid 90s. He's at the upper 80s, but still working it with some good movement. Here's the 0-1. Trying to hold up.
Yeah, you mentioned the fact he lost 40 pounds, man. It is difficult to maintain velo when you're losing that much body weight. Trying to generate that ground force. Even when you get it back to, it's just not the same. It's play with guys who had, some illness or whatever, lost about 20, 25 pounds, and it is tough to regain that velocity.
That is a scary thing, too, dealing with a bacterial infection that makes you lose that much weight. Trying to retire the final man in this inning and get Nicaragua back to the dugout with the aim of adding some insurance in the bottom of the 8th. 6-5 our score. This game has seen the lead change hands 4 times. One, two, runner off, and a foul ball.
Stick with that fastball up in the strike zone. Does that throw a good slider as well? We haven't quite seen that just yet. Fastball, trying to beat Nakandakari at the top of the zone. 2 options here. You can get back up there, or you can get to that slider down the way.
One ball, 2 strikes. Long stare in. Raudas has what he wants. 1-2. Bounced it. That's off of Navoa, and that's going to easily enable Zerbergen to move from first to second on the wild pitch.
Man, you feel like every base handed over, every base you gain, if you're one of these teams, is so massive because of the way this game's gone back and forth. Now Argentina, you're in that striking distance. A little base hit back up the middle. Get a hanging slider or a fastball middle. You time this game back up again.
Down the right field line, a foul ball. I mean, yet again, this is the biggest pitch of the day coming up.
You got that hanging slider, and Nakandakari was just behind it.
Got a potential pinch hitter waiting in the on-deck circle as Nakandakari's backup catcher, Jose Jerez, has stepped out of that third base dugout. Here comes a 2-2 from Raudas. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, good at bat. All of a sudden not chasing. You've seen that breaking ball now. Having a tough time landing that pitch.
This is what we keep talking about with this Argentina team. They just make you beat them. They will not beat themselves more times than not.
You'll be sitting fastball right here, hit it back up the middle. There you go.
Ball 4, way up high. And the go-ahead run is on base now. And Jerez will head back to the dugout, but we will get a pinch hitter in this spot. It's not going to be Jerez, the backup catcher. Instead, it is Sebastian Fontana, The 32-year-old coming up on his 33rd birthday out of Buenos Aires. He'll bat in place of Matias Robles. First pitch to Fontana, moved in there for a strike. For Sebastian Fontana, just one at bat so far here in the qualifier. He is 0 for 1. Trying to tie this game or more here in the top of the 8th. Just an absolute thriller today. Nicaragua with a 2-0 lead after the second. Argentina scored 2 in the 4th and 2 in the 5th to take the lead. Nicaragua responded with 3 in the 6th. Argentina tied it top half of last inning. Nicaragua got the lead back in the bottom half. And here we are in the 8th with the visitors looking to draw even again. 2-1.
Another thing to think about too, their last game against New Zealand, they were trailing late in that game, down 1 run, able to come back. Doing so with that bats like this. And that man right there, Guido, all of a sudden his bullpen's just not throwing strikes.
Rauda's trying desperately to get out of this inning, and he blows that one by 2-2.
See Fontana behind on that fastball. It's tough when you come off the bench. Only one at bat since you've been here in Panama. Trying to catch up with that fastball. Chance for Raudas to stick with that same pitch. Get that swing and miss.
2-2, 3-2. And the runners will be off from first and second.
Yeah, Argentina just don't budge when you go outside the strike zone. Whether it's close or a big fastball like that.
Argentina's got 4 outs to work with at the dish. Fontana very much wants to get this thing even or more. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runners off, 3-2, swung on and missed. Roniel Raudas comes through with a monster strikeout to close things in the 8th. We're headed to the bottom of the 8th inning. Nicaragua hanging on to a 6-5 lead over Argentina. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on, top of the 8th, and Roniel Raudas comes through with a massive strikeout for Nicaragua to send this game to the bottom of 8 with his team still out in front 6-5.
That was a big, big strikeout. You had to challenge these Argentinian hitters. You were not going to get the chases. Not going to go fishing after pitches outside the strike zone. Rouse just challenged him right there, beat him with the fastball.
Getting some mound maintenance done. Members of the grounds crew, but it's also an opportunity for dancing time on the first base dugout. So, you know, take the trade-offs, obviously. Fans who are in the house today having a whole lot of fun, and they are being treated to a thriller. 6-5 our scores. This game moves into the bottom of the 8th inning. Nicaragua, one of the favorites coming into this World Baseball Classic qualifier. They have not had an easy road so far. Dropped the opener 4-1 to Brazil, never led in that game. They bounced back with a run rule victory over Pakistan on Sunday, but today they have had a fight for every inch in this one, and they've got the slimmest of leads as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Let's take a look at where things stand as of today. Pool B play here in the World Baseball Classic second qualifier. The winner of this game is on to Game 9 coming up tomorrow, and they will play the loser of tonight's contest between Brazil and Panama. Nicaragua and Argentina trying to make it through the losers bracket and come through just like the Czech Republic did. And, I mean, from here on out, it is do or die for everybody.
Yeah, it really is. And you look at that format, the way this is played out, and both these teams, man, had to grind through that losers bracket here. Argentina especially.
First pitch of the bottom of the 8th inning is ball 1 to Milcar Perez. And that was weird. We had a late time call by Mark Stewart, the home plate umpire, and Kevin Riello still dealt the pitch. And I think Milcar Perez is probably a little bummed because he shot that one back up the middle.
Yeah, look at this. He said time, call time. See him just kind of pepper the bat right back up the middle. Wow.
Nice little cricket swing.
Yeah, there you go.
So Perez now climbs back in, 1-0.
Mate, look easy. It's like, hey, why don't you just do that every time?
1 ball, 1 strike on Perez. Milcar today, a couple of singles and 3 trips to the plate.
I'm not going to lie, man. If I'm pitching right now, calls time, and he just kind of sticks the bat, just hits a linear right back at me. Tell you what, my confidence just gets zapped. I'm telling you right now. Like, I got no shot against this guy.
3 balls and a strike on him now. Perez singled to drive in a run in the 6th and scored a run in that same inning.
Get a look at that mound, little mound maintenance.
Full count.
Must have been missing a chunk out of there or something. Someone complained or talked about it.
How different was it for you, you know, somebody who grows up in Australia in a non-baseball country? I would imagine the mounds you dealt with back home were not exactly what you saw when you first got into pro ball. You're digging out of trenches, working on mounds back home, then you get to pro ball and everything's immaculately manicured.
Yeah, that's the one. I mean, you go on those backfields when you get to rookie ball, extended spring training or whatever, and you're like, man, look at these fields. And they're just like, oh, we're on field 6. Guys complaining about it. I'm like, no. You understand, this field 6 is like the best thing I've ever seen.
3-2 pitch, swung on and missed. So Milcar Perez has gone on strikes for out number 1 in the 8th.
Big strikeout right there. I know you can't look ahead too much if you're Argentina in that dugout. You're thinking, all you're thinking about is the top of that 9th inning, but you have to take care of business here and get out of it unscathed. You've got to keep it within 1 run. I will say this, though, I'm pretty picky on mounds. I mean, there's mounds even in the big leagues that I found, like the Rogers Center. I couldn't stand that mound. The Coliseum, especially when it was football season, they had that crossover, and they'd take that mound down, put it back up. There was soft spots on it. It was brutal.
First pitch to Sandy Bermudez, driven well out to left center, but Lucas Stallman giving way to Sebastian Garcia, out number 2. These videos seem to be doing fine on these mounds.
Yeah.
Former big leaguer Ryan Roland-Smith.
That's some good mounds right there. Good times.
Spent most of your time in Seattle on then Safeco Fields mound, now T-Mobile Park's mound. How was the home mound?
It was good, and you know what? Big shout out to the grounds crew there. Yeah. They made it just how you want. I said, hey, it was a little bit soft last start. I remember going out the next time. It was like concrete. I was like, jeez, man. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously you can't complain.
First pitch swinging, foul pop. First base side, knocking Dockery, got it. Nice play on the warning track on the basket catch with the slide. And the final out of the inning, a Luis Monte Altos foul out, sends us to the ninth in a one-run game, 6-5 Nicaragua. Well, if you like drama, we got it for you in the World Baseball Classic as we head to the top of the ninth, a game that has been back and forth all day. And Roniel Raudes will try to get the final 3 outs to keep Nicaragua alive. And on the other side, Argentina will try to rally to see if its side, the Cinderella story here on the final 2 days of the World Baseball Classic qualifier, can stay alive for tomorrow. Back at Estadio Nacional, Rod Carew in Panama City alongside former big leaguer and Team Australia left-hander Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Mon. Leadoff man for Argentina. In the top of the ninth is the third baseman, Andres Kim. 2 strikeouts sandwiched around a walk last half inning for Roniel Raudes. And the big righty going to work against Andres Kim, who's got a single and 3 trips today. 2 balls and no strikes.
Yeah, you think about the position you're in right now if you're Argentina, all the prep for this, building your roster, losing guys, you know, trying to manage your pitching staff in that bullpen. Now all of a sudden you are 1 run away from tying this thing up. You are in a great spot. Like you said, it's just a matter of just having those good at-bats, getting traffic on base, and see what happens.
2 balls and a strike on Kim. Andres' single came leading off the 5th inning, and it was a big situation in that inning because he was picked off at first base in an inning in which Argentina ended up scoring 2 and taking the lead for the first time today. And now you look at that in a 1-run game, and that looms pretty large.
Yeah, you can't really pinpoint one moment, but there's been
a lot of them.
There's been a lot of them. If you really dissect this game, you're like, man, it could have been a lot different.
2-2 is lined at first, 1 out.
Man, some good contact, but for Raudes, bring the issue to Argentina. Don't give them a chance where all of a sudden you're getting 3-0, walking guys, make them swing the bats. Some good contact right there, but right at former big leaguer Chesley Cuthbert.
You know, I gotta just mention, we got a chance to go out to dinner last night on the off night, and we talked with Dan Cochran, who is our sound legend, who has set up the mics all over the ballpark and everything. Being able to hear the effort and the energy that these guys are putting into swings and deliveries. On that last pitch to Kim, you could hear that grunt from Raudes as he sent that one in, and the crack of the bat sending it over to first. I mean, these guys, you talk, yes, they're exhibition games, and it's a short format and all that. This means so much to everybody on these rosters as this ball is popped straight up the shaft. Backpedaling was the backstop Novoa, and Perez makes the catch. What got dicey there Melvin Navoa nearly backed over his own helmet on the ground. And Perez does the alert thing as the man coming in from the angle at third to make the grab.
Yeah, well, Perez has the priority right here, but what a huge out. Lucas Storm and how big, how much of an igniter he has been for this Argentinian team, not only today, but throughout these qualifiers. Let's not forget that home run that tied this thing up to right field. That's a big out right there for Nicaragua.
So Sebastian Garcia is the man who remains standing in the way of Nicaragua and tomorrow's final game of this 2022 qualifier in Panama City. And the first pitch to him spins him away. It's 1-0. We talked about Garcia's plate presence, his discipline, the calmness he exudes at the dish earlier in this game. Can he get something started with 2 outs in the ninth for Argentina? 2-0. I'm nervous up here. We don't have anything riding on this game. Garcia 0 for 4, a couple of strikeouts today. Came into the day 2 for 11 with a double and an RBI in the qualifier.
No chance he is swinging right now.
3-0.
Got to make him throw strikes.
And he's a guy who runs very well, so if you get him on the base paths, he can be a problem.
Yeah, another situation he's taken all the way here.
Saw Navoa go out with a word for Rautis. Righty deals on 3-0. That one is there for strike 1. This game was a 2-0 Nicaragua lead. Argentina rallied to make it 4-3, 4-2 rather. Then it was 5-4, then it was 5-5, now it's 6-5. And the 3-1 catches the inside corner to fill it up.
That doesn't surprise me either. Garcia, again, taken to get deep in this count, 3-2. Morales has to throw a strike. It's an Argentinian team. They're too scrappy to have base runners on behind you.
And it all comes down to one pitch, 3-2. Got him swinging and missing, and Nicaragua survives to head to tomorrow.
And this was not easy whatsoever. Going into this game, if you're in Nicaragua, you're thinking to yourself, okay, we match up so well against Argentina. This will be a situation we take care of business early, and we're in the driver's seat. Not the case at all, man. They had to scratch and claw, get through that bullpen a little bit, but a hard-fought win, and they live to fight tomorrow to try and qualify for this World Baseball Classic.
What a game here at Estadio Rod Carew as Nicaragua has survived to move on to tomorrow in game number 9, a winner-take-all matchup with the loser of tonight's contest between Brazil and Panama. And this one, I mean, I don't know what else we could have possibly asked for in game number 7 of this 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier. Back in the broadcast booth here at Estadio Nacional Rod Carew alongside Ryan Roland Smith, the former big leaguer. I am Tyler Mon. I mean, that's a classic. I don't know what else to say about that game.
It really was. And, you know, we were wondering, is this going to be that upset? Look, Argentina looked better and better as this game went on. And, again, I admit, going into this one, I'm thinking to myself, Nicaragua, after what we saw against Pakistan, they're just going to roll out the bats. Wasn't the case, man. Argentina, they fought hard, their first qualifiers ever, but Nicaragua's up against the loser of tonight.
That is a very bright future ahead for Argentina. But as you see in the updated bracket for this 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier in Panama, Nicaragua has moved on to tomorrow's game number 9 to square off with the loser of tonight's game between Brazil and Panama. And we are excited for that one coming up at 8 o'clock this evening. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. This is just the appetizer. We got the main dish for you tonight. A World Baseball Classic ticket is on the line this evening as Brazil squares off with the host nation Panama coming up at 8 o'clock. For Ryan Roland Smith and our producer Tim Fryer, my name is Tyler Mon. We'll talk to you in about 6 hours from Panama City.